Hello, everyone, and welcome, as always, to Curse of Strahd Twice Bitten, the show where 5 DMs take on D&D's top gothic horror campaign. As always, and eternally, I am Dragnacarta, your host and DM. Thank you to everyone, as always, for tuning in, and I don't believe we have over much to discuss this week, although I believe we left off at a fun junction last time. How are Erthrendir, Amity, and well, those two are the main ones, I think. How are they feeling?
I've been thinking about these dice rolls for about a week. I'm excited.
Hey, what are the chances that both of you roll natural ones?
1 in 400.
1 in 400.
All right, well, let's see.
Know that!
Let's see if Avandra is with you today. All right. So, I think we're ready to get started. So, without any further ado, let's dive in and get started with Curse of Strahd Twice Bitten. All right, everyone. Welcome back, and let's get started. So, last we left off on Curse of Strahd, Twice Bitten. Working on behalf of the owners of Valaki's Blue Water Inn, the party arrived at the center of Barovia's wine trade, the Wizard of Wine's winery to the west. There, the travelers and their paid guides, Soldar and Yevgeny, learned from the winery's owner, Davian Martikov. The winery had fallen under the shadow of a group of evil druids and their horde of corrupted plant blights. Reluctant to expose themselves to overmuch danger, but cognizant of the poverty they might soon face without additional income, the party began to delve into the blight-infested vineyard and the darkened structure that lay at its core. Within the winery's winding corridors and abandoned rooms, the characters fought and found several of the evil druids within, though it soon became apparent, even in victory, that the druids had darker plans, their full extent beyond the party's knowledge, as one druid praised a great shadow, and another babbled of deep roots from whence their power came. Through cunning and patience, the travelers turned mercenary conquered 3 of the druids within, and in the process, won custody of a corrupted wooden staff that emitted a strange ashen-black smoke borne by one of the druid invaders. As they took a brief recovery, however, the party was ambushed and attacked by a final druid and his small squadron of loyal needle blights. Fortunately, with the aid of several swarms of ravens that Amity had befriended, the characters turned their attention to the druid that commanded them, though not before first growing separated amidst the doors and halls of the winery. Lillison was the first to fall, followed shortly by Amity and Erthrendir. As Kiva drew willingly on the power of the rage boiling inside her and the fey ancestry that had begun to surface within, Metreon found himself face to face with the druid who had felled his compatriots. Drawing on his fear, fury, and newfound arcane power, he murdered the final druid, though not before the dying man warned that his party would not be the last to torment the winery, ominously intoning, "Winter Splinter is coming." And so, as each of you find yourselves amidst the quiet, darkened corridors of the winery. Kiva, you making your way up the corridor, come to a stop, your breath heaving in your chest as you hear a thump and a thud from the other room. You see the body of a man wearing ragged, dirt-smeared clothes and a set of antlers crashing to the floor. You hear Metreon panting hard. Metreon, you can see the blood dripping from your dagger. Kiva, it is currently your turn to act. What are you doing? Quickly.
Kiva's going to go up very quickly, just sort of step over the body of the druid and make sure that Metreon is unharmed. She's not going to touch him, but she's just going to give him a look over and sort of make eye contact and be like, "Are you okay?" And then looking around for the others and realizing that they're not there, she's going to go over to Erthrindir, who would be the next closest to her. How is he looking to her? Because this is all news to her, so...
Mm-hmm. All right, so as you arrive, stepping into the room and seeing Metreon standing there, I need Lillison, first off, to make a lingering injury roll. And while that's happening, Kiva, as you glance down at Erthrindir, you can see that he is not well. He is unconscious on the ground, his body splayed there. You can see one of his arms splayed at a bit of an odd angle. You can see that several splinters of wood beams have kind of carved across bits of his chest and blood is seeping. You can see from here that his breath is coming in fast, shallow spurts, his face paler than you've seen it.
Okay, so can she try to do something to stabilize him?
Yes, if you'd like, you may make a medicine check.
Okay. That is a 14.
14. All right, you've reached down doing your best to kind of cradle his head in your arms, rearranging his body such that he wouldn't be in further discomfort. You try to bind some of the wounds and mop up the worst of the blood. Slowly you hear his breathing grow steadier, some of the color returning to his face. He is stabilized.
Okay, and I know she probably can't do anything else with the rest of her turn, but she would then go to wherever the next room is with Amity and prepare to try to do the same thing.
All right. As you do, from outside you hear a sudden distant roar and a rumble, and from above you hear a faint pitter-patter upon the ceiling that soon expands, resounding into a deep, thunderous downpour, pounding and smashing and great wet thuds against the ceiling of the winery as glancing out the window as where you now see Lillison. Kneeling on the floor, Amity's limp form at the bed beside her, you see in the window beyond a sudden downpour sweep down. A dark storm stirring the wind, the trees blowing outside as stains of moisture begin to drip down the sides of the glass window. Lillison, what did you roll?
I rolled an 18.
All right. With an 18, you glance down at a place where the druid's Thunderwave seems to have carved a place in the wall. You can see a deep splinter, half embedded in the side of your arm, and grunting with pain, you're able to pull it out, but there is an ugly puckered wound there that is slowly dripping blood. You don't think that it'll be too harmful, but it might leave a pretty bad scar.
Yeah, I can live with that.
With that, I believe it is now Lillison's turn.
Yes, Lillison is going to briefly rub at that scar, wincing a little bit, and then turn her attention to Amity and try to see what she can do for her.
All right. You can see that Amity is in a similarly bad state to Erthrindir. She is still on the bed, the color draining from her reddish cheeks. She's not looking good. There are a number of cuts across the side of her face where a number of similar splinters and shards of stone have carved across her skin.
Okay. Wilson will try to remove some of them with her mage hand and bind any visible wounds, things like that.
All right, make a medicine check for me.
That is a 20.
Nice.
All right.
Hey.
Working swiftly and decisively, you stem the worst of the wounds and the bleeding, and Amity's form stills in the bed, looking less as though the life is draining for her, and more that she appears to be slumbering, unconscious, and perhaps slowly regaining her health. Erthrindir and Amity, I will need both of you to make a lingering injuries roll. Roll a d20 for me, please.
Okay.
4.
Oh no.
4
11.
is fine, right?
All right. Kiva, glancing down at Erthrindir, you can see now that part of his body, especially across his cheek, has been carved with a number of large shards of wood that were driven forth from a post that exploded, it seems, in the blast of whatever magic or explosion demolished this part of the hall. There's an ugly, jagged wound that runs down the length of his cheek, down toward his chin, and carving a bit of a ways into his lip. It doesn't seem life-endangering, but it's unlikely it'll heal all the way. Amity, you grunt and you feel, or not Amity, but Lillison, you see a bit of a twinge in Amity's leg. You think that there appears to be some sort of injury with her knee.
I know I'm asleep,
Thankfully,
but which one?
It is the same leg that was injured the last time.
Oh, thank God. I mean, it's not good, but...
Yes. So, with that, Metreon, Kiva, and Lillison, the winery, for the moment, it seems, is quiet. Erthrindir and Amity's unconscious forms on the ground. What are y'all doing?
Once she sees that Erthrindir is more stable, she's going to open up the door and just check in on Lillison. Are you okay? Is Amity okay?
I think she's out of the worst of it now. I can still walk. Is Erthrindir all right?
Stable for now, but he's got a right nasty cut on his face. Not the only one anymore, I guess. We should probably get him lying down. Metreon seems okay, but he took care of the last one, so we should keep an eye on him.
Yes, there's another bed in here if you want to lift Erthrindir in here.
Yeah, Kiva would do that. She's gonna take Erthrindir and just sort of plop him in the other bed over there.
If you come out of the hallway, Kiva, to drag Erthrindir, you would see that Metreon has not moved from a spot.
Kiva's knows that, understands that feeling, is going to give him some space, but clock it mentally.
All right, Kiva, as you pull Erthrindir into the room, laying him in the lower bunk bed across from Amity's, the downpour outside comes to a stop. A few droplets falling lonely upon the window as the sky outside brightens to a dim, unpleasant, familiar gray. A faint mist stirring up where the humidity is disturbed among the vineyard, but the rain, it seems, is passing.
So does it seem like it was a sun shower type storm where it just is very quick, or did it seem sort of unnatural and
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Make a nature
you know
check
what I'm
for
saying,
me.
yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a nat 20, so that's a 21.
Nice.
It definitely feels like a sun shower. It didn't feel quite as severe or, strange as to be unnatural. It seemed like a passing water spout.
Okay, cool. That's going to comfort her a little bit more. And she's going to go back out to the hallway. And at this point, she's going to, again, keep her distance from Metreon and just say, there's some room to sit down in here if you need it.
Just give me a minute, yeah.
Of course, take all the time you need. And that's all she's going to do.
If Metreon's going to come inside, Lillison is going to nod towards him and then slip out.
Metron right now he's still hanging in the doorway when Kiva leaves. His hands are trembling quite a lot, and he's just sort of locked in this 1,000-yard stare, not necessarily looking at the body of the druid, but like looking beyond it. And he kind of backs away, stumbling a bit over some pieces of wood that have broken off from the thunderwave that he had sent out. And he looks down the hall and sees that no one's there anymore. And he goes up to where he saw Lillison dragging Amity, presuming that everyone else was there. They make it.
They'll be fine.
They're gonna be okay.
Right.
Look, I'm going to go take a look around and make sure there isn't one more waiting for us.
Should I go maybe fetch the Martikovs?
No, I think we should stay here for now until we know for certain that there aren't any more of them.
Would you like me to go with you? Looking around.
She shakes her head and glances at Metreon and then looks meaningfully back at Kiva.
All right. Stay safe and yell if you need anything, okay? I'll come running.
Thank you.
In that sort of dining room where the druid is there like scraps of food or maybe water or something in there that she can poke around and look for?
Looking around, there doesn't seem to be over much. There's a few items, what might have been remnants of meals left out when the Martikovs first left, but they've been left out for, it seems, a few days or so and don't look the most appetizing. There's a bit of stale bread on one side and a pitcher of water that, feels pretty lukewarm to the touch.
She's going to take the water, but she'll give Metreon like the water and a dry ration, and then just go back and sit in the hallway and wait for Lillison to come back.
All right, where's Lillison going?
Lillison is going to go down the staircase into that room where the barrels and the druid got killed and start just making a slow, stealthy exploration of the whole place.
All right, make a stealth check for me.
That is a 12.
All right. You slowly slink through the area. You're looking, just kind of exploring the entirety of the winery.
Yeah, not going outside, not trying to call attention to herself, just seeing if there seem to be any signs of any more either druids or blights.
Gotcha. So you slowly make your way through the winery. You uncover one additional chamber as you move off toward the double doors in this chamber that you have not previously explored, finding an empty barrel maker's workshop and a door barred from the inside. A number of old saws, rusted hammers, and other tools and work tables sitting quietly in this room. You make your way out of the chamber and into the larger chamber where the fermentation vats once rested. You kind of pause for a moment, glancing up warily as if expecting to see the needle blights from before, but instead you only see the hundreds of ravens perched atop the leftmost balcony. You can see from this perspective what seems to be a small pile of torn and broken bits of nettles and thorns and plant matter that have been reduced to shreds amidst the large flocks of ravens that have now nestled above them. You see one of the larger ones that you noticed Amity interfacing with before, seemingly to kind of hold itself triumphant amongst the crowd. But you can see a number of other ravens that are kind of clustered around small black feathered forms on the floor that are limp and unmoving.
Wilson will wave at the ravens and smile.
One of the ravens caws softly toward you and turns back to the flock. They do not appear to otherwise respond. There's no evidence of any other needle blights.
All right, she'll move on and head down the ramp.
All right. You make your way down to the lower floor. Here, just for the sake of brevity, you find the same wine cellar that Kiva and Metreon had located earlier. Chilled and cold, and aside from some wine bottles, largely bare. You find a pair of staircases, one leading up through a sort of moss-covered sides that leads up to the upper level, and as well as one leading to a spiral staircase that you believe winds up all the way to the top of the winery.
Okay, she'll snag a bottle of wine as she goes by, and then otherwise just explore each of these passageways up.
All right. It is a bottle of Red Dragon Crush. You recall this as the slightly more expensive wine that you purchased, or that someone purchased at the Blue Water Inn. You continue your way up. You explore briefly what appears to be a glass blower's workshop of sorts. A number of tools and clean glass bottles. It appears to be empty, though you can see a barred door leading out to the rear of the winery and the vineyard. Further exploration shows only a small storage chamber adjacent to the fermentation room that seems to face an outhouse into the outside acres of the vineyard, though you shy away before any of the needle blights can spot you through the open door. You check your way briefly upward, glancing up and down the spiral staircase, and if you would like, you find your way back to the corridor where the others are waiting.
Yeah.
It seems that the rest of the winery remains empty, save for the corpses of the druids and the piles of thistle to which the blights have been reduced.
Yeah, after making that orbit, she will not quite rejoin the others, but hang out in the hallway down the way from the others.
All right. While that's happening, are Metreon and Kiva up to anything?
Metreon has come into the room that Amity and Aerthandir are resting in. He sits at the foot of Amity's bed. He takes a quick look over at both of them, seeing that they seem to be breathing steadily and are safe. And he kind of shrinks into himself, hunches his back a bit as he bends over, and he looks down at his hands and sees the blood on them. And he takes the water skin, the water that Kiva gave him, and begins to feverishly kind of like go over his hands, and pulls out his dagger, starts to go over the dagger too. But realizing that there's not enough water to clean everything properly, he just stop and sort of continue to look on through this space, trying to process everything that's happened.
All right, Kiva, eventually you do hear the sound of soft footsteps coming up around the corridor.
Unless you're being followed by 100,000 of those things, I take it we're okay for the moment?
Yes, for the moment, although we still seem to be surrounded outside.
Figures as much. Well, we need to wait a little bit for these people to come round, so there's empty chairs in the other room.
She nods and is actually going to go into this room where they found and fought their first druid. That seemed to be, some sort of printmaker's shop, and is just gonna see if she can find any paper.
All right. Glancing through, you do find on the floor, kind of discarded and crumpled mostly, a few pieces of parchment. Around half of them are stained with bits of ink or matted with glue, but you find 3 different pieces of parchment that are still usable.
Okay, Lillison's just gonna hang out here and, probably pull out her book and start writing into it.
All right. Anything else from Kiva and Metreon?
No.
All right. With that, Amity and Aerthandir, if you would like to spend a hit die.
I would, thank you very much.
Gladly.
All right, how are we looking?
All right. I guess, does that mean we wake up now?
An hour passes uneventfully. The sky outside still gray, the needle blight silhouettes occasionally visible through the crawling fog. But an hour or so after you bring them into the room, Amity and Erthrendir begin stirring to life once more. Erthrendir is the first to sit up, Amity's eyes slowly flickering open.
Oh, I feel like I've been trampled by a horse.
Amity sits up, the cold sweat, and then grasps her leg through the blanket. Oh God. What happened?
I would say. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's my question too.
I was going to say that at some point during the hour, Metreon would have noticed that Truffle was still kind of in the bag and would have taken him out. And so, Amity, when you wake up, unless Truffle objects, he would be in Metreon's lap.
Truffle was actually already out of the bag when you found him kind of curled up against Amity's side, but he doesn't actually seem to object. And as you kind of like reach out to, pet the top of his head, he does kind of trot into your lap, kind of curl around with a soft, sad sound, and just kind of nuzzle up there. And as soon as Amity awakes, he perks up, his little ears waggling happily.
He lets him kind of scuttle over to her.
Amity happily curls up with Truffle. I don't remember. There was someone who you thought shot like a thunder wave, and then are the others?
Is everyone alive?
Yeah, everyone who counts, at least.
Thank God.
A week ago I might have been surprised I was included in that measure, but for now I'm just happy to see you're safe.
Yeah, right.
He tries to sit up. Ow! Oh God, my face! He kind of touches his hand to it gingerly and looks alarmed when it comes away bloody. Oh, that's not the best. He kind of looks at Metreon and Amity appraisingly. Is it bad? I can't really tell. It hurts, but it's not sure. Is it like a gash or something?
There's a bit of a gash. Do you want me to try to heal it?
No, save your magic. Ugh. Should have known. Walking into the mortal world, shit like this happens. He blearily tries to stand. Any rate, is it safe? Are they all gone?
Oh no. You might want to ask Lil and Kiva.
Right. Thank you. Are you okay? Did they get you?
You see that he kind of chokes back a reply and does not say anything.
Erthrendir gets what, kind of nods and, yeah, alright, later. We'll have lots of time later. He's going to step into the hallway.
Kiva looks up, she sort of stands, puts away the journal, and she's like, "You're up."
Yeah. Thank you, whoever it was that kind of made sure I didn't bleed out.
I couldn't do anything about the scar, but
The what? I just thought it was a gash.
well, I mean, it's not good. I don't need to, like, just dump that on you right now. So just don't be prepared, be prepared if you catch your reflection. But I'm glad you're okay. And she sort of awkwardly, like, pats him on the arm in that way that people that aren't really familiar with, like, friendly body contact do. And then she says, I think Lillison's down the hall, but she said we're all clear. We're the only ones here now.
All right, good. It's done. And are you okay? Or at least as okay as we can be after all that?
For now. There's still a bunch of those little needle buggers outside, but they're not in here yet, so...
Yeah, one problem at a time. All right, thank you. And he's going to kind of return the incredibly awkward arm pat, perhaps slightly less awkwardly, and then go to see Lillison. Hey.
Oh, you're awake already.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised too. How long's it been?
About an hour, I think.
Wow. Yeah, no. Last time this happened, last time was with that ghost in the house, so... Hey, I'm getting better at being knocked to almost death.
You're getting better at recovering, which is wonderful.
That's the hope. Everything alright? Or...
Yes, I took a little look around the rest of this place, and it seems fairly clear. I don't think we're going to be leaving anytime soon, but that might be for the best, considering the shape we're all in.
Yeah, agreed. I doubt the Martikovs will begrudge us if we, take some time. I'm glad he kind of looks at her, an uncertain expression on his face. Have you seen a mirror in here anywhere?
A mirror?
Yeah. Anything like that. Water basin, bucket. Just some with a reflective surface.
There was this glassmaker's shop downstairs. One of those might be reflective enough?
Gotcha, thanks. I'll yell if the return of the needle blights happens.
Actually, you know what? I'll go with you.
No, thank you. He kind of realizes what he said. No, you're fine. Sorry. You're free to it.
All right.
And yeah, he's going to walk down to the glass blowers. I cannot get through this door. Oh, there's the door.
As you make your way out into the fermentation chamber, tiptoeing your way across the pile of mulch that was once several needle blights, and make your way downstairs to the glass blower's chamber as Lillison has directed you. As you make your way in there, surveying the interior, you can see several tools, a wooden rack full of freshly blown glass bottles, a hearth, and a barrel of sand. And as you can look over the rack of bottles, most of them seem quite freshly blown, but one of them has a bit of impurities, some specks of dirt and sand on the inside that kind of cling to the glass, just barely making a slightly murky reflection, some imperfections in the glass perhaps. And glancing into it, though distorted and slightly bleary, you can faintly see a reflection if you choose.
I do choose.
All right. You look within and you can see... You start with the first side of your face. You can see, yourself pale, likely from exhaustion and blood loss. You can see your tired eyes, and then you slowly turn to the other side. And you can see, like, a jagged wound, a gouge in the flesh that runs down from just barely missing the eye, down, then splitting like a lightning bolt. One arc dragging across the ridge of your nose, the other one ducking down and spreading into a large gouge that extends tendrils down over the top of your lip. It's staunched most of the bleeding from now, but every so often there's a drop of dark blood that oozes down the side of your chin. And looking over this from things that you've seen, victims you've seen, you know that this kind of injury doesn't heal well, if at all.
He kind of surveys the image almost detachedly, like he's looking at someone else, kind of turning the bottle this way and that. And then kind of tracing his finger along it and wincing. And then kind of drops the bottle, almost shattering it, and kind of turns to Lillison, almost matter-of-factly.
Did she follow you? Just confirming.
I said she could.
Gotcha. All right, and then Lillison is here as well.
All right, Lillison will be there, like 15 feet away.
Reasonable. Well, that's that then.
It doesn't look terrible on you.
You don't need to lie to spare my feelings.
It will look absolutely dashing to go with the exciting and thrilling story for whenever you need to impress somebody.
Quite frankly, if I meet somebody who would be impressed by this, I'm going to want to be very far away from them. Oh, you remember the time I, agreed to help clear out somebody's house, murdered 2 people, nearly lost my life, and got this sucker from pieces of exploding door. All in an effort to stay exciting enough that the local vampire lord won't use my heart to put on a pike. Great story, isn't it?
I mean, you can frame it better than that.
I can, but he kind of shakes himself. I'm sorry, but just... I guess it's just the price you pay in an extent. You walk out into the mortal world, you leave the enclaves, you kind of commit to this sort of thing. That, I knew that a long time ago. Just didn't expect it to be this graphic or this soon.
Lillison seems to be making an effort to be sympathetic, but she seems much more chipper and cheerful than you've probably ever seen her.
I appreciate the effort to make me think that this is going to turn me into a dashing pirate sort of figure, but you do seem to be in a remarkably good mood.
I mean, we just actually successfully helped these people take back their home. And we're all alive.
I suppose. We also... Most of us got badly injured. We're probably, from what these guys have said, they'll be coming back, and... No, it's not my place. You have your joy. It's important, but... Yeah, I guess we are alive. Thanks.
She smiles at him, and then she pulls out the bottle of wine that she had nicked from downstairs and holds it out to him.
Later. I'd rather drink with everybody. But, oh, for me? Oh, thank you. And he will accept it. Red Dragon. Alright. Thank you. Tell you what.
Don't let Metreon see that you have it, although I wouldn't be surprised if he took some as well.
Honestly, from the way I've pieced out events, that I think he deserves it. And he kind of alright, and he's going to head back upstairs.
Alright. With that, Metron, Kiva, and Amity, is there anything you'd like to do while waiting for the others to return? Or are you going to dwell in the chambers? Yes, Amity?
Amity is looking out the north window. This faces, I believe, the grove where we saw Davian and friends earlier. Are they still there? Are they, like, she sort of waves, are they watching?
Make a perception check.
It's reasonable. It's going to be a 15.
Unfortunately, whether because they've receded back into the woods or because the fog and underbrush are too strong, it's difficult to make out anything on the tree line from here. You're not sure if they're in eyesight, if at all.
All right, then Amity turns to Metreon. I think, unless we have a plan for dealing with those things outside, we might need to call for rescue.
There's one more left here.
What? There's one that we haven't fought?
We only killed 4, didn't we?
Amity sort of counts. I guess I'm not sure, since I might not have been there for the last one.
No,
But I trust you. So they're hiding and waiting for us.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Where are the others? We need to stick together then.
I'll know. I think I saw Kiva and them walking down the hall the other way, away from the steps.
Amity sort of limps away from the window. My leg is
You're right
not
there.
feeling any better. I think if I keep up this questing lifestyle, then I might not have one.
Yeah, I'm getting the same feeling.
We'll see what Belinsky has.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Do you think it's safer for us to stay here or to go try to find the others?
Yeah,
Both of you can... Oh, go ahead.
let's get you with the others, Kiva and Lil and all of them. And Metreon very slowly stands up as if his body just feels weighted down, and he'll go to you, Amity, and kind of like scoop his arm underneath yours and like kind of wrap around your back, and if you want, he will help escort you out.
Amity gladly accepts the escort. I assume that you're not just... I mean, I can see you're feeling bad, and I assume it's not just because the wine is spoiled.
Metreon kind of briefly looks at you, but when he does, you see that the lower half of his face is smeared with, like, splattered with blood.
Amity doesn't really know whether it's your blood or someone else's. Does Metreon look like Hale, or is he like bloodied?
It's
all
hard
over?
to tell because his makeup is all smeared. So his face is just kind of a mess of like pancake makeup, blood, and sweat. But I would say you don't see any injuries on him, given the way he is.
Do you want to talk about something? Or shall we just go?
Let's just go. The sooner we're out of here, the sooner we can not be here.
Amity nods with a neutral expression, and with Metreon's help, goes out to, pretty much immediately meet Kiva in the hallway. Oh, Kiva, where do the others go? If Metreon's right about there being one more, then we don't want to be wandering around alone.
Lillison went through the place and didn't find anyone, so I think we can take a little bit of the worry off, but they went to go check out Earthwindir's injury, I believe. He said he wanted something to look in, so... how are you feeling?
I'll be honest, I'm not feeling great, but it's a lot better than not feeling anything.
If you need me to help transport you anywhere again, I'm happy to do so.
It's fine, I've got Metreon on this side. Though I appreciate the offer.
Kiva's going to just cast a look over at Metreon and offer a sympathetic smile in a way that she's trying to make not seem like, oh, I've been there, I know exactly what you're going through, but just like a I'm here for you sort of way.
Yeah, Metrion's not really looking at anything in particular. He's kind of definitely averting gazes.
All right, should we go find the others?
Let's do it, and thank you both of you for making sure that Earthendeer and I are okay.
It's no trouble.
Listen to it.
Kiva's going to go back through the hallway where she remembers the bottling room that she and Metreon were in earlier.
And we'll probably run
Right.
into Earthendeer coming in from the other side.
Yep. As you do run into Earthendeer kind of making his way up the steps.
Oh.
Alright.
Hey.
Hey, so they seem to think that we didn't actually get all the druids. Lord knows I'm not good at counting when certain things are happening. So how are we actually safe here, or is there one more potentially hiding?
In a building this big, who knows? There's a million old place like this. There could be a million nooks and crannies, but they were 5 wasn't a hard. They were just estimated, weren't they?
I don't know. They seemed pretty, observant. So
Point.
if there is 5, we should probably find them before they find us.
I suppose.
During that hour, did y'all clean up the corpses, by the way, or is there still just a dead body at this intersection?
Oh no,
no.
you
Dead
see
bodies everywhere, yeah.
the druid. It looks like his head is like 3/4 of the way off. Blood pooled everywhere around him.
Kiva murdered the one that Earthendeer's standing over right now. Yeah, there's bodies everywhere.
Yep.
He sort of turns away and puts a hand over her mouth. Can we at least toss it out the window or something?
Yeah, we need to move them anyway once we get rid of the blights.
Kiva, moving a sack of fucking potatoes, just sort of moves Earthendeer out of the way, throws the body over her shoulder, and then just tosses it into that printing press room behind them.
That'll work for now. Thank you.
It lands with a bit of a sickening squelch, and you hear a little crunch.
There was good paper in there.
There was a good. You know what?
I mean,
Not arguing semantics right now. Thank you.
Lily, I can go get you the paper if you want.
No, it's all right. Besides, I do feel like if we were going to run into the last one planning an ambush or something like that, I do feel like they would have attacked me as I was going through already.
That is a point. You're never going to get better circumstances than one person on their own. I think we're probably safe. Well, on that note, whether we are or not, we need a plan for getting through the blights. They should be theoretically uncontrolled now if their masters are dead. So, I don't know what that means. Might mean they just let us through, might mean they bugger off. I don't know.
You said something about them usually having a control mechanism or person?
Yeah, whenever you summon creatures like that, you've got to either have somebody who's keeping concentration on a spell or some sort of magic item that's... Oh god, magic item. Do we still have that? The stick?
I believe you had it when you went unconscious, Earthendeer.
Oh, he pats where he's strapped it to his back. Lose my own head if it wasn't attached to my neck. All right. Anybody magically attuned, I'd appreciate some help with kind of surveilling this. This might be our ticket out.
I can see what I can do, but I've never seen anything like this.
Me neither, but we'll see.
All right. So Erthrindir and Lillison are the two of you working on this. Is Kiva assisting?
Erthrindir is at least, yeah. He will gladly accept any
He
help.
will assist as much as she knows what magic is, which is about the extent of all of her magical knowledge, is knowing that it exists. So she will try to help.
Is it possible
Gotcha.
to do this and also take a short rest at the same time?
Yes, this would actually require a short rest in order to understand its properties, since you do not have the Identify spell.
Got you.
Alright. I'm just gonna casually spend some hit dice.
Have fun.
Very good. All right. With
Amity
that, you
will-
spend...
Or assuming Truffle is still uncomfortable around this thing, just sort of let Truffle stay away from it for the short rest.
All right. Over the next hour or so, the three of you together do your best to study this strange length of wood, looking over its properties and so on. Erthrindir, as your fingers wander across it, exploring it, you feel almost tiny thorns pricking out of it, and as you look, kind of like biting back a bit of pain from one of your fingers, you see a bit of blood that appears to have drawn forth, even without a cut or a wound, just oozing forth through the skin. You kind of pull that away, shake your hand for a second, noting that property in the back of your head. As you do so, Lillison's studying it and kind of documenting these traits in the back of her head. Kiva, you feel in the back of your head that kind of faint warmth of spirit, that golden glow that you've now felt burning faintly, like a flickering ember at the base of your chest toward your heart, ever since you drew on your rage an hour and a half or so ago. As you kind of pull on it for a moment, you kind of put a hand over the blade and close your eyes, and when you open them again, Erthrindir, you can see that Kiva's eyes are glowing, a faint bluish tinge, and Kiva, as you look out over the staff, you can see dozens of threads spooling forth from holes in the spongy black staff, running out through the window, and as you follow them through the misted air, you can see each of them connected to the heart, to the chest of one of the silhouettes of blights, slowly milling their way across the vineyard outside. And with each pulse of the staff's mass, you can see long, small, dark beads of black energy running down the length of these long spools, vanishing into the mists, presumably toward where the blights linger.
Okay, so she will relay that to Erthrindir. Is this also part of her magic awareness, saying that she can see what kind of magic it is, or since this isn't a spell, she doesn't have that?
Yes, this is the manner in which you are learning its properties. As a course of a short rest, you can study its properties, and I am actually going to place this in the magic items folder of your items foundry right now.
It's bad, but it's ours.
The Gulthias staff is now in the magic items folder of your items tab, if you would like to take a look. Erthrindir, if you'd like to
I'll read it.
that.
Okay.
You can summarize it whichever you prefer.
I'll summarize it. So, Golthos staff is a spongy black length of wood. Its evil make beasts visibly uncomfortable within 30 feet of it. Natch. This staff has 10 charges, regains charges at dusk. If this staff is broken, the wood releases a terrible, inhuman scream that can be heard out to 300 feet. All blights that can hear it immediately die. In addition, if you slap somebody with it, you can expend a charge to drain some of their life essence at the cost of making a wisdom save or being afflicted by short-term madness. And also, while you're attuned to this thing, blights don't see you as being a bad guy. And it's also a quarterstaff, which is, nice for any of our strength-using peoples.
of
So,
which
yeah.
there are none.
So in doing this, is Earthrendeer now attuned to this?
No, he has learned its properties. He can spend another short rest to attune if he chooses.
Yeah. And
Okay.
would we know enough to know if the non-aggression bit would extend to the attuned people's allies or nah?
Likely not.
Shoot. Alrighty. In as far as the magical threads you described, is that something only Kiva can see, or can all of us see it?
Kiva describes them as best she can, I would presume. And
Yeah,
through that,
she does
that
take the
is-
time to.
Yes, that is how you assess the idea that if the staff is broken, it will likely kill the nearby blights.
That is incredible. You can actually see the magical connections between this and the thralled creature. That is. Oh, there are.
It's actually rather unsettling, but I mean, look, there's a lot I'm figuring out about myself from today. But yeah, we figured it out with the spell scrolls back at Irina's house that I can do
Yeah.
this now.
No, I remember. Just like I didn't know you could do it so intuitively. That's. I mean, sure, it's unsettling. I respect that. I am not happy with how my powers manifested, believe me, but that's still incredibly cool. Like, there are arcanists I knew who would have killed for that kind of thing. You've got her gift.
Wilson looks at Earthrendeer like just with this sort of 1,000-yard stare when he says that.
Does he notice? Yeah, he notices.
Your passive perception is pretty low, so probably not.
All right, fair enough.
My mother was very special, and I think this is her somehow.
Well,
It's gotta be.
yeah, I hope so. Well, I'm sorry it's unsettling, but
No, I just mean it's unsettling in the sense that it looks like little veiny tendrils going to all those creepy little fuckers out there. But so I think maybe we should just fucking destroy it.
yeah, that's my first thought. My second is that we have somebody temporarily attuned to it to go talk to the Martikovs and get help.
I mean, if you're attuned to it, can't you just command those little fuckers to not attack us at all?
I don't think so.
Don't we just leave, break the damn thing outside, and go?
I like that idea.
I'm loath to squander a resource if we run into these things again, but also I'm not against it if that's how the party votes.
Metrion's stomach sinks when you mention that we could encounter these things again. He looks like he wants to protest it first, but then holds it back when you say the second part, and kind of shrinks back into himself.
Amity, Wilson, y'all have any thoughts?
Do you think that it's possible for someone here to attune to it, just sort of sprightly dance past the blights without anything bad happening, and then somehow transport it back to us with like a zip line?
I mean, I've got all the druid costume pieces that I took off of that woman I threw in the other room.
It's a good idea, Amity, but I think it would take an extra hour for the next person to attune to it, and at that point, it's nighttime already.
And besides, I think the idea is to get the Martikovs back in here.
Point. So we probably do just need to get rid of these blights.
That is a good point.
Yeah, we need to get them in before. Speaking of which, what time of day is it?
Glancing outside the window, you can see that it's a gray sky, but darker than it was before. You're still a bit uncertain about the passage of time and the weather and atmosphere in Barovia, but at your best guess, it's probably approaching, if not already reached, mid-afternoon.
Okay.
And from what you recall of Barovia, the sun sets quite early in the evening.
He kind of shudders at this. Okay, well, that kind of makes our decision. We need to get home. Or Valaki, wherever.
I mean, do we have enough time of day to go back there safely? I really don't want to get caught in the woods at night.
It took us, what, 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get here?
2.5 hours? 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 2.5 hours?
No, like 2 hours, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I miscalculated that bad. So maybe. We should just spend the night.
Surely if we saved this place for them, they would at least begrudge us a night of sleep here.
Point.
We've got the hunters though. They're waiting outside. We could just go with them. We can get back behind those walls.
They did
Okay.
say they would leave if we didn't come back by evening.
Yeah.
All right, so then we go right now, and we hope we
Yeah.
don't get caught in the woods.
Yeah, let's leave. Let's get back there. And when we, I guess, get to outside, we snap this thing and we get rid of the ones outside if they're there.
Remind me how far you think the scream would echo?
300 feet. So best bet's from the roof.
Or should we try to gather them all up first?
If you want to try and lure them along, be my guest.
I'm perfectly happy to.
That wasn't a serious invitation.
Well, maybe we don't have to do that. Maybe we just go stand outside the front door and just fucking snap it. I mean, 300 feet feels like a lot.
We don't know how far they go out, though.
Yeah, that is.
How many of them is?
That's a point.
The sooner but the more we just keep thinking about it, the more time passes. So we just got to do it.
Point. I guess if y'all can think of an easy way to lure them quick, go for it. If not, I say we get rid of this thing. I don't want to be near it. I don't like magic like this.
We just break it when we get to the Martikovs, you know. If we get there quick enough, you know, they'll come running after us, and maybe we'll be able to snap it then.
I mean that we also might get pincushion from.
Well, then we do it outside. Let's just get fucking go.
Metreon, he kind
Kiva
of
puts a hand on Earthrendir and just shakes her head.
He looks at her, nods, and kind of turns back. I'm with you, but we only have one shot at this. It pays to take 5 minutes and make sure we do this right. I will get out of here as soon as we can, I promise.
Okay, we go out. We head to the Martikovs. That'll probably draw enough of them close to us anyway. We snap it once we're there. And we just go. But we have to go today. And we have to go now.
Yep. All right. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Lillison looks over towards Amity.
I'm ready.
All right. Let's do it. And yeah, he's going to find his way to an exit.
All right. Together you make your way down the stairs, Earthrendir's hands cradling the staff as Truffle eyes it quite balefully. As you step through, the ravens immediately scatter, forming a wide berth around the staff as they kind of glare and shift uncomfortably, their eyes all fixed upon it as one. You slowly make your way... Yes?
Can we see any signs of the blights from just looking out?
You mean from your original position, or as you make your way to the door?
As we make our way through the door.
Sure. So you make your way downstairs, passing beneath the ravens, and making your way to toward the loading dock that you first observed when you approached. And as you peer out along the wooden walkways past the barrel-loaded wagon, you can see a number of blights slowly milling around the perimeter of the vineyard, perhaps no more than 120, 150 feet away. You can see others of them extending around the side, and as you kind of peer out carefully, you can just faintly see others extending in what seems like a semicircle around the bulk of the winery.
Ominous. All right. He gulps and nods to the others. Let's go. And with much more bravery than he feels, he starts striding out into the open space, keeping the staff cradled in a death grip.
Yeah, Metron
Alright.
will help Amity up, and he'll start to follow.
Okay, you make your way perhaps 30 feet away from the winery before you draw the attention of the lights around you. You can see, slowly turning to face you, a single of them is first, and then followed by others. A dozen blights at first, then 2 dozen. Several other stragglers beginning to make their way toward you as the V shape of the horde begins to march toward you. You can see 6 of them easily coming together, marching from the north, blocking your path to the grove and marching closer and closer by the moment. They're closing in now, barely 100 feet away.
Berthendir breathes, looks to the others. Cover your ears. And then turns, proffers the staff in 2 hands, and just with a furious look in his eyes, he snaps the thing over his knee.
It cracks with a terrible splintering sound, and as it does, the ashen black smoke around it withdraws into the staff for a moment. A single instant of terrible silence following as it falls over the vineyard, the only sound of the creeping steps of the blaze of the mulch. And then all at once, the ashen smoke bursts in an explosion, a great cloud that rushes out from every pore of the length of quarterstaff. There's a terrible, inhuman scream that starts from a faint moan and then winds into an increasing, terrible crescendo, a banshee's wail that presses against your eardrums, pushing its way against the sides of your face and so hard against your chest you feel like you might vomit. This terrible screech of pain and agony and inhumanity. You hear its sound grow ragged. Around you can see the blights writhing and twisting, Kiva for a moment, flashing in and out, flickering in and out of existence, those webs you saw before, and the strands together now growing thinner as they explode outward with red twists of no longer blackish energy, but red, like blood. The blights continue to writhe, a terrible, keening moan sounding from around the vineyard, and then slowly, the cohesion of their forms losing. You watch as they begin to crumble from the inside out. Thorns and needles and thistle slowly collapsing, like mulch, torn to separate, disparate parts. For a moment, you cast the glance of the dark black eyes of a shambling needle blight as it strides one more step toward you, and then in a silent, pained cry, it collapses into mulch, leaving nothing behind. The vineyard is silent.
Metron breathes a huge sigh of relief.
Amity jumps up, putting both hands on your shoulders. That was amazing!
He kind of like blinks out of whatever reverie he had himself in. Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, I didn't expect it to pack that much of a punch, I'm going to be honest, but I'm glad it did. Man, if only all Arcanists packed in self-destruct methods into their wizard staves, it would make my life much easier. But thank you. Everybody okay?
Let's just get going.
Yeah, damn straight. And he, kind of, as almost an afterthought, he kicks the two bits of staff into a pile, drags one of the twig blights over to it in a blank patch of ground, and then sets it alight with a firebolt. And then, let's go. Yeah, I was gonna head to the Martikovs, or where we saw them last.
Woohoo! Let's go!
Does Amity have a spring in her step?
Well, one of them.
As much as possible.
Spring in a single step.
Yeah.
That is springy.
Metreon and Kiva will have to provide the opposite spring.
Spring.
We'll help
Um,
lift her up when she wants
Yeah,
to.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But yeah, assuming we're heading over to where we met the Martikovs, have they receded further into the woods? Do we see anyone? Amity's
You
like,
make your way.
hey.
You make your way across the vineyard, stepping over the withered piles of mulch that were once needle blights. And Amity, as you call out to the woods, there's a pause, and then there's a rustling from beyond. Peering out, you see a green cloaked figure, and then slowly following behind him, several other silhouettes. As he steps forward, you recognize the wizened features and gray beard of Davian Martikov, and as the old man looks up at you, one hand still over his ear, eyeing the shriveled, slightly ash-smoking piles of needle blights. His eyes wide, he rests his gaze on Earthendeer for a moment and mumbles, Is it fucking done then? What was that?
That was the thing they used to control these buggers. It's gone. They're dead. And once you make sure there's nothing hiding in the corners, I believe you have a house again.
He blinks and then exhales. The others around him, you recognize the members of his family coming together. You see uncertain smiles cross across some of the children's faces. The older man, Adrian, his eyes widen. Well, that's welcome news. Thank the morning, Lord. Please, all of you, you look like you've been through a lot. Please, are you well? Is there anything we can do?
Might want to clean up a bit.
Right. This Davian grunts begin marching his way forward, kind of leaning his weight as his back hunches forward, kind of each step of his staff either sinking into the mulch of the earth or clanging off a stone or rock. He slowly makes his way toward the group and grunts as he stands for a moment before Metreon, kind of squinting up at him for a moment. He pauses for a moment, snorts, and then spits onto the ground. And when he looks back up at you, you feel a weight on your shoulder, and you see one of his old, tanned, rough hands on the top of your arm. And when you look at his face, there's actually a small, slight, but present nonetheless, smile there. Right, well, if that be the case, then thank you, lad.
Yeah,
Thank you, all
Metron
you
will,
fucking buggers.
Metron will look down at him, mindful that, or I guess not mindful of the fact that half of his makeup is smeared off, and Davian and the others are now seeing a bright pink tiefling in front of him. But he will just nod and just look at the others.
Wait, there's something more we have to tell you.
Aye? What might that be?
Some of them were doing something to those fermenting vats, pouring something inside. I would not trust anything inside there anymore.
Fucking hell. Right. We'll take a look at it, I guess.
Yeah.
Make sure there's nothing wrong about it.
And they were talking about, I don't know what else, but a lot of ominous nonsense about the Great Shadow. So, don't know if that was guff or not, but if it wasn't, y'all might want to be careful.
They said they would be coming back.
Shite. Fuckers would. That was the last of them. But for now, If nothing else, we got home back.
They did mention something else though.
Aye.
Something called Winton Splitter.
He frowns. And with this a grunt, he kind of steps past you and begins slowly hobbling his way back toward the winery. The family kind of exchanging glances before a few of them begin following in after him.
What, you're not going to tell us what it means?
He glances back over his shoulder, and instead of answering, he says, "Afraid that if you were looking for a way back to the old town today, your guides left a half hour ago. If you won't stay the night, I'll see what I can do to put you up."
Please.
And he just kind of grunts and turns back to the winery and keeps walking.
Mother.
They
Fucker.
said they would stay until evening.
They probably
Yeah, well,
knew.
clearly we can't fucking trust them.
Well, they probably knew precisely the amount of time they needed to get back. We got past that. It's unfortunate, but we can't blame them.
I mean, I think I can blame them.
Oh, you can blame them plenty, but, you know, they had a decent reason.
Look, let's just go inside and see if they can settle us with a room.
So, yeah, that would be nice. And food. That's not hardtack.
I'm going to drink this entire bottle of wine and go to sleep.
Please don't. I do not want to have to nurse alcohol poisoning.
Alright, fine.
Thank you. Or, I don't know, you know your own tolerance, but that's a bit too much.
Let's crack on then, yeah?
Yeah. And yeah, I guess we'll head inside.
All right. With that, you follow Davian and the rest of the family inside. As you do, Kiva, Adrian Martikov kind of sidles up apologetically to you. I do want to mention your guides. They did mention that they had informed you that their contract did not extend beyond the hours of dusk. It seemed that they, when they left, they said that they didn't wish to be out in the land any longer, should they risk nightfall.
Yeah,
But they
no.
said that should you make it back, they would be glad to do further business with you in Vallaki.
Well, that's good to know that we haven't burned that bridge entirely. I don't... I understand. I wouldn't want to be caught out here either, but I was hoping this would have happened a little bit quicker. I guess time gets away from you when you're, killing a bunch of druids.
It's not a concern, truly. My father's not the most effusive of men, but believe me when I say that my family cannot pronounce enough how much we appreciate what you've done for us. The final spectacle alone is... Thank you. If our home is our own again, there might be troubles ahead, but for now, this is... It's so much to us. Thank you.
Don't mention it. Happy to be doing some good.
Right. And with that, you follow the Martikovs back into the winery. It's eerily quiet now, but slowly the family begins to shuffle inside and filter out amongst the space. You notice that Stefania Martikov seems to be keeping her children away from the site of the gore that has been left, and Adrian and Elvia are exchanging a look as they begin moving to do their best to execute some manner of cleanup. Davian kind of grunts and turns toward you. Right, so unsure how much of the upstairs we still got. From the sound of it, what Dag's found, it's been a bit of a number on, but we might be able to get the family up there. If you wouldn't mind, we might be able to put you up in the big room, with the vats, if you wouldn't mind. And he kind of nods around the large 2-story chamber. We'll make sure that it's properly secured and that we won't be more than a call away.
That's fine.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you.
He nods, and then turns to go about his business, which, as far as you can assume, seems to be inspecting the vats of wine, kind of checking out downstairs. And as the family just kind of filters in, it begins the slow task of cleaning up and doing their best to restore what's still standing of their home. With that, you can see the sky outside beginning to grow darker as late afternoon approaches and dusk grows ever closer. You can see the ravens, once inside, have largely filtered out, leaving only a few errant stragglers perched in the rafters overlooking the fermentation vats, as others kind of spread out across the vineyard, some taking up perches along the branches of the forest, and others vanishing into the mist and fog. Beyond that, the Martikovs seem content to continue their own chores and activities. Is there anything you would like to do while they do so?
Do they seem suspicious at all about all of the money that's missing from that one chest?
They don't know.
I think that was out of character.
Yeah, I'm asking out of character.
I mean, if you'd like to try to spy on them, you're welcome to.
You know what? I think I will.
All right, make a stealth check.
Say
Stealth
13.
and perception, please. Combination, please.
Okay, 13 stealth, 8 perception.
Okay, so you do manage to follow Davian. As the others kind of scatter throughout, you don't feel like you're being watched, kind of lurking and skulking in the hallway as he makes his way toward the large bedroom. As he does, however, you kind of lean in for a moment, doing your best to see if there's anything there, and then, without kind of looking, he kind of closes the door behind him, shutting you out, and you kind of listen in vain through the door, but don't hear anything. He doesn't come out for another 15, 20 minutes or so, and when he does, his face looks pretty neutral.
Okay. Wilson mentally shrugs and just like wanders off somewhere else.
All right.
Amity is scavenging the pantry/kitchen for ingredients.
All right. I would say there's not over much that's still fresh, but there are a number of preserved items, some root vegetables, some dried meats. It seems that the druids have been at them, kind of devouring or ruining a number of the rations, but there does seem to be just enough remaining to perhaps make one meal for all of the residents of the winery at the moment.
Cool. We'll save that for breakfast.
Good idea. Yeah.
All right, so we're setting up in that big chamber with the 4 vats, right?
Yep.
Are they giving us like cots or bedding or anything like that, or?
They don't seem to have any additional cots or beds to provide.
Okay,
Shoot.
You're welcome. They do say you're welcome to use your bedrolls if you choose.
Well, it's that or the floor.
Yeah, I mean, Metro doesn't carry a bedroll.
Yeah, I was going to say, who
They
has
can,
a
they can
fucking
provide
bedroll?
a few. They don't have much. They can provide like a few extra blankets, maybe like an errant pillow. It's not much, and Adrian is a bit apologetic about it. But I'd say, with some time, you're able to do the functional equivalent of crashing at your aunt and uncle's place, and they have no extra bed, but they have like that
Make a
shit in the
pallet on the
attic that
floor.
they
Yeah.
had like kept there for 5 years. One of
Sleeping
them
in
is
the
like a
box
3
that
Wolf
used to
Moon
have the
pillow, that
TV
sort
in
of
it.
thing.
Earthrendeer's
Yeah,
ever
exactly.
so slightly smug as
It's a
he
little
unrolls
musty.
his bedroll.
Yeah, it's a little
Wilson
musty, but
unrolled.
it gets the job done.
Wilson unrolls her bedroll too, and she looks at the other. She's like, what? She's basically like, "What? Why don't you have one?"
Well, Kiva's just going to give an equally sort of smug, joking look back to the two of them and sort of throw her cloak on the ground and flourish at her fucking single cloak.
You can, you can act real tough, but that's going to be murder on your back at 4 a.m.
She's going to try to. You know what? That's what she'll do. She'll strip the clothes off of the one druid that she left in that other room and sort of use those as a pillow as well.
That's fucking metal.
disgusting.
That's fucking metal.
Kiva gives
Jesus
0 fucks.
Christ.
Wow.
At least delouse them first.
Or, wash out the gore.
Look, all right, I've slept in worse.
That will give you a disease if you sleep in that, Kiva.
She'll cover it over with her cloak if everyone stops worrying about it.
Can Earthreader try and steal that and wash it?
Make a. When you mean when she's not looking, or
When
just kind
she's
of
not
swipe it from
looking,
her?
yes.
All right, make a stealth check.
Alrighty. That's an 8.
Kiva, you turn around and you see Earthreader with his hands around the object.
What are you doing there, friend?
I don't know. You know, checking the texture, the fabric, seeing what sort of leather they like to use.
I mean, look, there's no way to clean it anyway, other than pouring alcohol on it, and I don't really feel like wasting that, so...
There's rain barrels outside. I was just gonna scrub.
I'll go take care of that, if it worries everyone. I could use some fresh air anyway.
Yeah, no, alright. No. We're the ones who, insisted. You don't gotta be the one who does the work. It's no fair.
It's fine.
I can be more polite than you, ma'am. You're not winning this.
Kiva will relent and sort of hands up. All right, you got me.
Damn right I did. And he gives her a genuine smile and then trots outside to disinfect this thing.
Lillison looks over at Metreon and just puts on this stricken expression, and she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Your bedroll must have been on your wagon, wasn't it?"
Metreon has positioned himself with his back against one of the vats and has been facing away from the rest of the party.
And he just doesn't reply?
Yeah, he just doesn't reply. He does take his bottle of wine out, though, from his bag and begins to liberally drink from it.
Okay. When he doesn't, respond to the gentle teasing, the smile sort of vanishes from her face, and she walks over and sits down, 10 feet away from him.
He kind of looks at her, noticing that she's kind of approaching, but in her own way. He kind of brings the bottle down from his face. What do you want?
Nothing in particular. Just...
All right, then sling your hook. Go.
Sorry, what?
Sling your hook, bugger off.
All right. And she stands back up again. And
Wait. I'm sorry. It's been a long day, long week.
Yes, it has.
Hey, why don't you get one of them bottles and have a drink, okay?
I did. Earthrinder took it.
I'll take it back from him.
Kiva holds up the bottle that she has and flashes it at Lillison.
Lillison shrugs, moves over, takes it with a quiet "thank you," and moves back over towards Metreon. Tries to figure out how to uncork this thing. Does it have a cork? Is it not a screw top bottle?
Kiva would have used her scimitar to dig the cork out. She's already been nursing it, so
I just imagine she sabered it with her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was hoping, but I figured Dragna would make me do a check for that to see if I fucking shatter the bottle. So
You're good.
Fine. Then she sabers the top of the bottle off and has been drinking it. And she sort of rounds out the triangle that Metreon and Lillison are making and takes up that third point position, keeping her distance.
Yeah, Lillison's gonna take the wine bottle, pour some of the wine into her water skin, which has been a wine skin this entire time, and then hands the bottle back to Kiva with, generous amount still in it.
Yeah, Metreon acknowledges to both of you that they are there, but you get in that way of just looking through you all. He just continues to drink.
Yeah, Amity first goes around the house, sort of like exploring the basement, other places they haven't been, looking for a comfy place to sleep. And then, assuming she finds nothing, we'll join the little triangle.
Make it a square.
Yes. And a pentagon as Erthrindir returns, dripping wet, and clutching a, like, thoroughly abused and scrubbed clean piece of cloth. There are so many insects in this thing. Do you have any idea? I had to use fire to ferret them out before I washed it.
I told you I could have taken care of it. You insisted on being polite.
Oh, I know. I'm not being mad at you. I'm being mad at their hygiene standards. Speaking of which, here. It is actually fairly... He kind of throws it at her. It is actually fairly nice. Have a good time.
Thank you.
And he will kind of join the circle. Retrieving his own bottle of wine, he kind of looks at the cork askance and starts trying to dig it out with his finger. God, I always forget how you do this.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Metron takes the bottle from him and just like, without any effort, just pops the cork and hands it back to him.
Thanks. I don't really do it at home. Most of my drinking was at bars. God, what I wouldn't kill for a bottle of Captain Salamander's right now. Some decent rum, though, admittedly. This Martikov Rhine could give them a run for their money.
What is rum?
Oh, right.
It's like a dark liquor, but it's not like wine. It's like thinner. It burns a bit more.
Yeah, he's got it right. You need less of it, but it's honestly, it's a nice flavor if you get a good kind, or if you get a bad kind, it's a very cheap way to get drunk. Well, at least where I lived.
Is it anything like whiskey?
I've never had whiskey. I don't know.
So yeah, but I mean, it's whiskey's even a little bit heavier than rum. They're kind of similar though.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, no,
You're all
it's...
far more cultured than I appear to be.
Oh, bless your heart, you innocent dearie. He says, she swigs from a bottle.
Oh, are we talking to a master sommelier over here?
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, look, I could, fuck someone up all day and long with a scimitar, but when it comes to discerning what types of alcohol there are, I fall short, and I defer to you. And she sort of like humbly bows.
Well, I'll take that mantle.
How do you think they keep the basement so cold?
Huh. I don't know. Maybe, well, underground's obviously nice, and, you can insulate the place, but maybe they get ice from the lake or something?
Oh, maybe. There was some ice on the tops of those mountains we saw.
That'd be quite a trek to keep your wine chilled.
That's a lot.
Could just be magic. This place is called the Wizard of Wines.
Point taken, but...
Oh.
Erthrindir grimaces. If so, you'd think that one of them might have, been able to poof all the blights away.
Well, it might have been a bit of old magic. Just keep this area cold for the next 400 years or however long.
That's a point. Although
Is that a spell?
It is. I mean, you need to be very powerful. Imbuing magic in places like that takes a lot of time and some real artisanship, but it is done. And honestly, it's how a lot of, long-lived societies kind of build on themselves. Enchantments left from your father or your grandfather or whatever that can kind of, persist. It
could also just be that it's stone and the temperature doesn't really get too warm here.
Could be that, too. Nature or science. Or magic. Or all three. But honestly, I would be happy for a bit of long-lived magic. I haven't seen some in a long time. Kind of reassure me about this place that, at one point it wasn't a miserable, desolate hellscape.
I was going to say, if you're looking for old magic, I think there's actually a vampire that runs this place.
Oh, go to hell. I'm not. Shall I walk up and ask to see his, I don't know, his wine cooler?
I don't know if that was a euphemism or not, but
What would it be a euphemism for? Oh. Oh my.
but I think it would actually be entertaining for like a second, and then I'd go back to being terrified.
That's fair. I'd honestly been, as I remember more spells, I've been seriously debating taking the sending spell so I can call him in the middle of the night and just kind of, wake him up, go neener, 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 and go back to sleep. Though, admittedly, the next thought is usually, no, you dumbass.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You said you were trying to entertain him, right? Maybe get like jokes book for kids.
Please, I am a resident joke meister. I don't need one of those. But
Tell a joke. Tell a joke. Tell a joke.
Oh, he looks distinctly uncomfortable. I was kind of being facetious.
Come on, bud. Do some bud shit.
That's not what I'm here for. I'm a historian. I'm
Our
not...
chances of survival.
Metron sort of takes the wine bottle and tips it to Lillison and goes back to drinking it.
Yeah, Earthrendeer does likewise. Cheers to that.
Kiva snaps her finger like a little poetry reading.
Yeah. Do y'all really think we're gonna... I mean, I suppose we've gotta, but y'all really think we're gonna die here?
It's as good a place to die as any, I suppose.
Tell a joke. Tell a joke. Tell a joke.
Earthrendeer just kind of puts his head in his hands. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange who?
Orange, Orange, you sad. This is such a bad joke.
On second thought, I think we should call Strahd up and just have him fucking murder us all.
Oh, I'd like to hear you do much better, ma'am.
I know I can't do better, but I don't then say that I am a maestro of jokes.
It's sarcasm. It's self-aggrandizing to try and... You know what, point taken.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. That's my bad.
No, I put myself on the spot. You're more than welcome. If I occasionally need to be cut down to size, you're not wrong. It's just a bad habit. I'm sorry.
Well, we stick around here for long enough, we'll be doing that literally.
Cutting me down to size?
Cutting us all down to size.
Yeah.
Nice little segmented packages.
I'm at the perfect size already.
Kiva gives Lillison a look that is, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to take that back.
Come on.
Retract it.
Come on.
Do it, Serena.
Do it.
Yeah. Metron would recognize the look, I would say, because he's the most familiar with this aspect of her. And that's where we're going to leave that one.
Ooh, my.
Metron cocks an eyebrow.
So, Metron, you're free to tell me to bugger off. You don't want to talk about this, but was that... I didn't know you could do magic.
I told you I was a magician.
Yeah, but I presumed you meant stage magician, like sleight of hand and, magic tricks. I didn't know that included, arcanist magic.
Is there a difference? I don't know. I'll just do what I do.
Yeah, there's a difference. It's, one's okay. Yeah, just are you a wizard then, or didn't take you for the
I told
scholarly
you I
type?
was a magician.
I'm aware, but like there's types. There's, ones who draw from nature.
You're getting into bugger off territory, just so you know.
He snorts. Fair enough. I will bugger off. And he takes a long draught.
You know,
Out
if he
of
keeps
character,
bothering
is
you,
this,
you could. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, is this like magic that Amity saw happen? I don't remember exactly when this was.
Yeah. So he did the toll the dead spell, and then you guys got knocked out.
Yeah, so she was
right.
there for it.
Cool. Go ahead, Serena. Sorry.
I was gonna say, if you're that kind of magician, maybe if he bothers you enough, you could like pull a rabbit out of his ass or something.
Yeah, I could do that.
Speaking of magic, Amity. So, I don't mean to pry, but you seem to be quite the literal firecracker.
Right. Wasn't that cool?
It was amazing, but when did you learn how to do? Is that something from here, or could you do that before? And why haven't you done it before?
That's a bit of a complicated question, and I'm not entirely sure I can answer all of it. It's definitely not the same kind of magic that I usually do. It didn't feel like that at all. It was like something sort of deeper within me. Like I've never been able to do it before, but also I think there's this. I don't know if it's something about this place or if it's just something about questing, but there's a lot of magic that I've been able to do now that I have not. I mean, it's taken me years and years to be able to do magic at all, and then I come here and it's been like a week.
No, I really understand where you're coming from there.
Arthur was kind of looking at her quizzically. When you say it's something that just kind of came from deep within you, like it's not drawing out of, we both draw from stories, but instead it's drawn from something kind of like just, I guess, essential, like just a facet of who you are.
I think that's how I'd put it.
Huh.
Maybe I'd almost say it's from my, she sort of gestures with her hands and tail around herself.
He nods. Yeah, no, I think we get something similar. And he kind of opens his hand and the flame of a opening firebolt dances for a moment. We us elves, most of us are, we all eventually go back to the Feywild, so, and some of us get magic from that, so maybe yours is something similar.
I didn't want to make a fuss about it earlier, but I heard you say before something like murmuring to yourself about coming to the mortal world.
He looks stricken for a moment. Yeah, it's complicated.
Well, we've got all the time in the world to explain.
Fine. But it's a longish story.
What else are we gonna do?
I've got cards. All right.
Then deal them.
He snorts. All right, fine. Cards afterward. So, originally, he kind of shakes it. No. All right. So, when I was about 45, my family had to move rather abruptly to the Wood Elf territories. It was not our choice, and it took us a long while to get where we were, but we settled down and eventually carved out a life for ourselves. And But after that, I, kind of tried to meld my way in, learn about history, and preserve some things. And so I ended up taking some courses at Bardic College, doing some interviews, kind of learning how to be a historian and learning a bit of how to be a bard, although I admit I hate most of that. But eventually things kind of came to a head. I was a pretty good historian, a damn good one, actually. And I'd get invited to go to conferences and meetings and all that and talk about where I came from and what had happened there. And, stuff like that. And as I went on, I started to realize that a lot of the reason I kept getting invited to these things was less because I was a brilliant historian, bright-eyed, gonna lead the future of the field, and because my stories of woe and carrying on and what had happened to my people helped folks serve an agenda. He's kind of like looking off into the distance in this point, and you can see just his hands are bunched on his sleeping bag, almost tearing into it. And so, eventually, once I figure that out, and that I'm not being asked to give presentations and, talk out of the kindness of my heart, but because hearing about the bad things that happen to other elves gives these fuckers a grounds to do whatever the hell they want, stemming from my tragedy, I may or may not have given them a piece of my mind. He kind of shrugs. I went to one of these conferences, smiled, nodded, got up on stage to give my big speech about the horrors that my people had gone through and what had happened. And I swapped out the speech and gave a neat 8-minute presentation about every atrocity that the Wood Elves had committed in the past 600 years. The Wood and High Elves had committed in the past 600 years. There's been a lot of stuff we'd like to forget, too. Things we'd like to drag up. It went about how you'd expect. He's got kicked out of school. My boyfriend at the time, forgot I existed and moved away to where I couldn't find him. And I am no longer welcome in a large chunk of the Elven societies on the Sword Coast. And that's why I'm here. Because I fucked up pretty massively, and now I am with the mortals with everybody else. He kind of blinks, kind of realizes that he's been going on and looks up at the others. And you all just asked about kind of how I got the mortal world. I could have left out.
No, it's... Look, we've all been through a lot, and sometimes it's nice to be able to talk to people that you can trust. Thank you for sharing.
Lillison is leaning forward with her chin in her hands and an expression of intense interest.
And look, you've got her enraptured.
Earthendeer smiles at this. Yeah. It was a time. I made a lot of mistakes. Really should not have gone off the way I did, but on the plus side, it kind of, got me out of a bad place. If I had kept going in that particular, field of academia, I probably would have had a worse outburst. It would have ended with me punching someone. So, one or the other.
Amity's eyes are slightly wet. You stood up for what you believed in.
I tried. Didn't work. They, if folks are intent on using your story for their own ends, then they're going to find a way whether you're a part of it or not. They certainly did for mine.
And what ends is those?
He shrugs. It's complicated, but in essence, they were trying to use what had happened to my people as a kind of casus belli against a lot of folks who are marginally connected, but mostly unrelated, and kind of to drum up, oh, look at the horrors the High Elves have been through. Look at our poor fallen brothers from Offstra in despair. When, what we'd like is for them to, or what I'd like is for them to, actually remember us for what we were, not use what we were as a bludgeon against the group of humans that's got nice arable land they want. Does that answer your question?
I think, yeah. Sure. And Metron takes another sip of the wine bottle. You notice, too, that it's about halfway down as he's been nursing it the entire time, and his posture is a little bit more relaxed, and he's kind of slumped down onto the side of the vat.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank y'all for listening. I've don't think I've told that in 60-ish years. Been a while.
Can I ask how old you are?
I'll be 140 in a week or so.
Oh, we're actually closer than I thought.
Huh, how old are you?
135.
Oh, huh. Wow, that's very close. And he smiles. Wow, we're both just spring chickens then. That's kind of nice to know.
Practically babies.
Yep. What about the rest of y'all? I know Amity's 20, but...
Did you say a week or so? When's your birthday?
Oh, give Twy a minute, because he does not remember the names of Forgotten Realms months. It's in... I don't remember the exact day. Mid-autumn. I'd need a calendar. But I kind of know. It's kind of by the time, feeling in the air. But yeah, should be, I'd say, I think 3 days, maybe 4.
Well, I would say we should do something to celebrate, but,
Wait, I actually don't know. Of course we should celebrate.
Love, we don't really have much to celebrate here with.
I mean, the bar's pretty low. It's living another day. It's celebrating, right? Worthy of it anyway.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
all
it
that
is.
dribble.
Damn right.
Oh, here,
What-
actually, I got you a present, and she's going to pull out the necklace made of teeth that druid wore and sort of hold it out.
Earthrendir, recoils backward. The hell, Kiva?
Look, when you live a certain way, you just take what you can get. Maybe I can sell it for something.
Those are human molars. Who are you selling it to?
You don't think that Wachter woman would take this?
You know what? She would. She absolutely would.
So yeah, I'd like to think I do know what I'm doing now and then.
Earthrendir, for your birthday present, I will knit you a pair of socks.
Oh, I would love some socks. They wear through so quickly out in the woods.
It will be a bit late because I can't finish a full pair of socks in 3 or 4 days, but I think I can finish one sock by then.
I'll take the singular. One of mine's got a hole in it right now.
She pulls out her knitting, which is in fact part of a sock, and looks over to Metreon. How old are you?
Yeah, I don't know, 20 or something. I don't know.
Nah, that's fair.
Birthdays ain't really a big deal where I'm from.
Well, was it in the fall? If so, we can try and make some of it this time.
I can't really tell you.
Oh. Sorry, I shouldn't have poked.
No, I mean I was a babe. I don't know when I was born. You know, don't really have a recollection of that far back.
He was going to pretend like she's like, you know, doing something psychic with her mind and just be like, I'm getting the sense that might be today.
Huh.
Metron glares.
Look, if you don't want the last of my wine as your present, you don't have to take it.
Fine, today's my birthday. Give me that wine.
She'll walk over and give him the wine and, like, you know, blow him a little kiss and then go sit back down.
Shall we sing for you?
Oh,
no, please don't.
Don't do that to any of us.
What's the D&D equivalent of the happy birthday song?
I think it's just the happy birthday song, but yield.
But you play with
happy
a
birthday
Latin
song, but with an
spiel, so-
intense, like, medieval English accent.
Yes.
Do it in the Dorian scale.
You play a hurdy-gurdy when you sing it.
Yeah.
No, the happy birthday song, but with a lute.
Yes, a
Yeah.
lute.
If we had one, I'd do it.
All right. At this point, as you look out the window, night has fallen deeply over the vineyard, and you can see the darkness of the sky outside, the inky black of the horizon covered by drifting gray clouds and errant swirls of fog and mist. You can just faintly see silver moonlight glittering down over the winery itself.
Mine's the 8th. It's sort of weird that we're all within 1 or 2 weeks.
Wow. That is lovely.
It's almost like life imitates art.
Does the audience understand this reference?
I don't think so at all.
Not remotely.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
We'll leave that for the next After Dark.
Yeah. But yeah, Earthrendeer will kind of look around, looking oddly settled by the reception this has gotten, and kind of pull a tiny cup from his backpack and pour some wine into it. Well, this has been one of the nicer nights I can remember. I'll call that an early birthday present. Thank y'all.
If you would like, I can ruin it again, because I have a question for you, but I know that it's been quite the day for you to answer harrowing questions about your past.
Nah. Let me know. Is it going to be if I've actually ever killed someone before, or what's... Fire away.
Have you?
Yes,
No.
Speaking of fire, you said that your first foray into magic was rather rough.
Oh. Earthrendeer kind of shuts down. Yeah. You know when I said the last one was a long story? This one's about twice the length.
You truly don't have to share if you don't want to.
I mean, it's my birthday and I want to hear it, so.
Earthrendeer shoots a half grateful, half infuriated look at Metreon. Well, if this is the Earthrendeer Variety Hour, then give me a moment. And he's going to kind of take a step outside for a moment, and as he does, he kind of, y'all probably can't see this, he steps outside, rests against the ivy on the walls, and just kind of pulls out a tree branch and just kind of like almost crushes it into powder as he just kind of tries to let the tension out. He wipes his eyes, steps back inside, and sits down. All right, So, if we're being straightforward with this, or Dragna, I might recommend you break before this story. Personally, this is legitimately going to be a bit.
I think we're good to go.
All right, in
Don't worry
that
about
case, I will not worry about it. He sits down. So, my first experience with magic, you understand, it's less about stuff that I myself did and more kind of what I ran into. He's going to, pull a candle from his pack and light it, setting in the center. Have any of you ever heard of a country called Thay?
Yes, a little bit.
What do you know about it?
Just that there are wizards, and it doesn't have the best of reputations.
Well, both of those are accurate. Anybody else?
Guess I have no.
All right. So, yeah, they're a bunch of... It's a magocracy place ran by a bunch of wizards over by the Sea of Fallen Stars. And they are very powerful, very expansionist, and very cruel. When I was about 45, the settlement I lived in, a little place called Offstra, on the sea, ran afoul of one of their entreaties, shall we say, by which I mean they were conquering most of the coast. They had made some sort of agreement with some beings from apparently the plane of fire and were just scorching everything they found. And then they got to us. There's kind of a half-proud grin as he continues. They weren't expecting much resistance from a group of elven... I mean, we were never huge, even in our heyday, but we had sturdy walls and brave soldiers and a good bit of magic of our own, and for a while it was looking like we'd weather the siege for long enough for them to go away. But then months turned into years, and they started winning. First, it was, them clambering atop the city walls for long enough to shoot fireballs down to the populace, and then the rolling walls of Cloudkill, and then worse as they diverted more and more resources to crushing this little pocket of resistance. I was still a kid, you understand. Elves don't grow up fast. And so, as about 2 years into the siege, me and my mom and my dad managed to get together with a group of the other wealthier people, and we used a connection that the sewer system had to an old set of tunnels, and we got out. Barely anyone else did. I think about 300 people total actually made it out of the place before it broke. And 2 months later, the walls fell, and, well, there is no longer an Offstra by the Sea of Fallen Stars. There is a blot where Thay is rebuilding and sowing our fields and raising our crops. And taking what they please from the ruins. And yeah, so that's why I'm a little leery. If you asked why I wasn't too fond of wizards or why my experience with magic was a bit fraught, it's because the first stuff I saw, besides what my grandfather would show me and what the bards I knew would teach me was it engulfing everything I knew. Does that sufficiently answer your question?
Lillison just nods, looking very somber and very serious.
So, yeah. If I ever see him, yeah, that's all. That's all there is. It's not very complicated. We had a nice thing. The Thayans fucked it up, and now we're here.
So you say you hadn't killed before, right?
Right.
I want to see if that's true.
Roll insight.
5.
You don't know.
Seems pretty tough to read.
Yeah, well, Metron's also 3/4 of the way down his wine bottle.
That's very true.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I'm from. It's actually what my last name means. Eariel's just by the sea of fallen stars in Elvish. And that's me. That's my life. He seems like both sad and kind of intensely embarrassed.
And I get to die with a bunch of strangers in a weird, fucked up hell.
Yep.
Lillison leans forward and puts an arm around Earthwinter's shoulders, and she says, "Thank you, and I'm sorry."
He like jerks at the contact and kind of freezes, staring at her. And then
she pulls back if he's going to do that.
No, and then he kind of, as she starts to, wait. And his shoulders steadily slump, and he kind of leans into it. Sorry, it's been a long time.
Sorry for startling you.
Will also put a hand on his other shoulder and be like, if we get out of here, then if that's what you're doing, I'd follow you to the end of the plane to get back at these guys.
He doesn't seem to respond. I don't know. I'm not. When I was younger, it was really appealing, you know? Take back what was owned. Get back what we lost. But, like, that's the place, the people, they're not that important. They're bastards, and they took a bunch of our cultural relics when they left, and I'd like those back, thank you very much. But it's more important that I keep what we've got left. The stories, the memories. That's kind of what I do. That's make sure that nobody ever forgets that. It's important. It's, that even as the rubble settles, that everybody that we lost isn't gonna just disappear.
Amity nods solemnly.
He kind of doesn't say anything else, but he will kind of lean into both Lillison and Amity for a long few minutes. Well, guess we should go to bed then. I've been keeping us up.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really need to, though, right?
I don't, but y'all do. And I'd like you to make sure you sleep. That's important.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get there. And Metron jingles his almost empty wine bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. And he will kind of settle down and get ready to trance if no one else has anything to say.
Wilson leans back, removing her arm.
Yeah.
Then nods over to Metreon and says, "Happy birthday."
Happy birthday.
Cheers.
And many happy returns.
Yeah, Metron stays there, seated as everybody goes to, I guess, go to their bedrolls and flea-ridden pallets. Yeah.
All right. Is everyone turning in for the night then?
Earthendeer's gonna probably stay up a while longer, but he's just roistering. He's not saying anything.
Yeah, same with Metron.
All right. Kiva, Amity, and Lillison, are you turning in?
Kiva's just going to turn in, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With that, each of you turns in your own ways. The darkness of the night yawns on. By now, the Martikovs having dispersed into the rooms above, and the winery having settled into a quiet but comfortable silence, save for the occasional creaking of boards, but no longer ominous.
I would also say,
Yes.
not to interrupt you, DM, but
Of course.
At that magic hour, Metron kind of goes into that. He feels himself maybe nod off a bit in a drunken stupor, but at that hour, just kind of suddenly his eyes burst open, and with this determined focus, he rifles through his bag, pulls out the quill and ink, and takes off his shirt and armor and jacket, and he's going to go ahead and, for an hour, continue to decorate his flesh with more stick and poke tattoos. And then after that hour, he'll put away his things, put back on his jacket, not his shirt, because it's he doesn't need it right now, but then he will kind of relax and try to go back to rest.
All right. As you do, you can just kind of see out of the corner of your eye Kiva and Earthendeer trancing the slumbering forms. You think of Lillison and Amity, and just the quieting silence of the Wizard of Wines as you feel the stinging pain from the new designs you've woven into your flesh before slowly receding back into darkness. And so as the lot of you recede into the darkness of the night, letting slumber or meditation take you as it will, one of you opens their eyes. And, however, you do not look down upon the rafters above the winery, of the fermentation vats around you, of the darkened room of the winery. Instead, however, Amity, you open your eyes and you're not looking up, but looking down at the dark shadow of a great terraced hill. In the distance, a great swirling veil of fog that surrounds from all sides, and above you hear the booming of thunder as you watch a bolt of lightning lance through the sky for a moment, illuminating the sight below. And that's where we'll take our break.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Where could that be?
Ooh.
Alrighty then. So, we will pick Twice Bitten back up after a 15-minute break. As always, in the meantime, do enjoy a few other messages from our community, including part 2 of our fireside chat with Mandy Maud, Kaya, I think this is the final part, right?
It is indeed.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again to Mandy for doing the interview with Shaplukas, our excellent producer, as she continues her discussion of handling and preparing for PC deaths while running the Curse of Strahd campaign. And so, thank you all, and we will see you back here soon.
Happy
Welcome to Fireside Chat, a short interlude with weekly features where I, your host Shaplukas, will be showcasing and interviewing prominent D&D creators. This week we are talking to Mandy Mod, the creator of Fleshing Out Curse of Strahd series, about handling player character death. How can a dungeon master handle player character death effectively?
From an emotional standpoint, there's really no right way to deal with character death. Ideally, your players aren't blaming you for the death, and the death occurred at a point in the campaign where it's relatively easy to introduce a new PC. So you do what you can to make the integration of that new PC as fluid as possible, and in the meantime, you just play the song The Parting Glass and comfort one another. If you play in real life, maybe get everybody around to shots and say a toast. Whatever floats your boat. And once that's done, sit down and start prepping the next session. So if handling a player character death after the death has occurred is already a rather moot point, then what can we do? Well, with some foresight, you might actually be able to use a PC death as a tool in your DM arsenal. Before I go into any further detail about that, I want to make it perfectly clear that you should never actually plan to kill a player character. If you do, you're actively fulfilling that idea that the DM is a sadist figure and that they're out to get the players. And once you cross that line and start thinking it's okay, justifying it to yourself, it's very difficult to come back from. Instead, what I do is plan encounters based on risk, giving each of my encounters a best versus worst case scenario. For example, say that I set up a combat encounter. I say to myself, based on these circumstances and the enemy's abilities and whatever else, I consider this a very hard encounter. Once I've sort of gotten the difficulty in my head, I ask myself 2 more questions. First, what are the chances of a TPK? And second, what are the chances of a player character death? Most of the time, in my campaigns, the chances of a TPK are low to none. I'm not a huge fan of TPKs. If a player character death is disruptive at worst, a TPK is an outright campaign wipe, and I'm not a huge fan of starting campaigns basically over midway through. But the chances of a PC death in an encounter may vary. If the answer to that particular question is, say, very high, then I need to be aware of the outcomes of that possible death and start to calculate the costs versus the benefits of a PC death during that session. Say that I have a very unruly group, and I'm having trouble controlling my table or otherwise making the campaign feel more thematically dramatic. Well, I know that a PC death is a very fast and maybe somewhat extreme way to fix that behavior. Or maybe the party has been on a winning streak. They've been on a successful high for at least a few sessions and have noticeably become more comfortable. If that's the case, then a player character death might actually go over well with the party from a storytelling perspective. Yes, they'd be sad, but it would definitely hit that emotional beat. In these examples, having a difficult encounter with a high chance of PC death is something that I might consider going through with. Now, let's look at the other side. Maybe my players are in the middle of a very important plot-crucial dungeon. Disrupting this quest with a PC death would really totally kill the momentum. Or maybe they're in a location where it would be very difficult and limiting to introduce a new PC. Or maybe they've been failing tactically for quite a while now, and have lost several encounters. A player character death at that point might not go over so well. It might inspire a defeatist attitude in them, which I definitely don't want. Even worse than all of that, maybe this particular group doesn't really get along very well, and a player character death might actually spark infighting. If I foresee any of these negative outcomes, especially if they seem extremely likely, I probably want to consider lowering the difficulty of my encounter so that a PC death is much less likely. All of these considerations are examples of things that I think about whenever I'm designing or editing an encounter. While I make a point to never orchestrate the death of a player, I also need to be completely aware of the consequences of that death should it occur. Even an encounter that I consider very easy has a chance of complete and utter failure. By trying to foresee and prepare for these outcomes, I have effectively transformed player character death into a tool that I can hopefully use and account for. And while it is a tool that I can use, I also understand that it's an extraordinarily costly one, and that it should be used sparingly and with caution. We don't plan to kill characters, but we do plan for the possibility of their death.
What positive effects might character death have on a D&D campaign?
Most of the positive effects that come from player character death are actually the emotional ones, and not necessarily the technical ones. Yes, the whole campaign may have just been disrupted and the main plot stopped in its path, but isn't that what real loss feels like? Is that pain that the players feel not an effective simulation of the real thing? That pretty heavy emotional response that players get from losing a player character is actually something that I consider a positive result of that loss. Besides that emotional response, there are other positives that we can consider. For instance, a player character death is actually an incredibly efficient way to make a campaign more visceral to players. Having one of the quote-unquote main characters suddenly die immediately shows the players the stakes of the game. It kind of makes it real for them, in the same way that there's a difference between reading about a war and actually fighting in one. If you're having a problem with party shenanigans and chaotic players, a player character death will bring your party down to earth and bring them down quickly. And while the immediate session will end up quite somber, the campaign as a whole will likely gain a gravity and intensity that it didn't have before. A player character death is also amazing for party unity. There are a few emotional responses that bring people together quickly. For example, one is a unified enemy. You'll never make a faster friend than if you both have something similar to hate. Similarly, going through an emotional low together, a shared loss, is the fast track to bringing a group together and learning how to trust one another. And I'm not just talking about characters, I'm talking about the players too, including the player that just lost their character. So long as you have a semi-cohesive group that doesn't have major outstanding problems, they'll likely all become much closer following a player character death. Lastly, on a much more broad-scale scope and perhaps a little bit more of a roundabout way, a player character death also helps players learn emotional endurance, and can help them gain a sort of inner confidence. It's no different than when you were a kid and you fell down and scraped your knee. Yes, it hurt, and yes, you probably cried. But you learned that even though it hurt, it wouldn't hurt forever. And more importantly, you learned that even though your knee was bleeding, you could still get up and keep playing with the other kids. Player character death is one of the worst things that can happen in D&D, and learning that you can experience that loss and still come out stronger can be really healthy for some players, especially new ones. To sort of sum everything up, a player character death handled correctly should be an overall positive asset to a D&D game. It can help your players build confidence and camaraderie, and also give your campaign a new depth. Are there ways to misuse player character death? Absolutely. But in general, a PC death is not something to be avoided or feared.
How can a dungeon master handle TPKs without actually killing the party?
TPKs are brutal. There's no doubt about that. That's why it's a good idea to have a few backup plans to implement in the event of a total party wipe. Having a little bit of Deus Ex Machina is most likely better than starting the whole story from scratch mid-campaign. So, let's go over a couple of those ideas. The first and most simple way out of a TPK is to just have the encounter be, surprisingly, non-deadly. If the players were fighting a group of even semi-intelligent enemies, like bandits or, goblins maybe, then it's possible that those enemies had no intention of actually killing the party. Maybe they wanted to take the party alive for whatever reason. So, these enemies, they kill the party, then stabilize them, and then the party wakes up in a dungeon somewhere. This setup is actually quite easy to modify for a variety of encounters. A second option that you might use to get out of a TPK is some sort of intervention. And while a divine intervention isn't out of the question, it might be a bit much for most campaigns. But there are other options that we can consider. Say that there is a helpful NPC that's trained in fighting that jumps in to finish off a wolf pack. Or perhaps there's an onlooking group of civilians that gain some courage, start a mob, and join the fray. Some outside NPCs and additional enemies in the fight that are actually on the player's side can go a long way in averting a total party wipe. Lastly, you might also do something totally different to avoid a TPK. Maybe something that's based off of the world or campaign that you're actually playing in. Maybe you come up with an entire story arc based in the ethereal plane, where the players are ghosts and have X amount of time to find a way back in their bodies. Or, for a campaign like Curse of Strahd, maybe the party comes back as a pack of revenants or vampires or other undead, and now they have to deal with that. There's always a way to implement the campaign setting or the campaign story, and implement that creatively to avoid party death. No matter what you do to get out of a TPK, I think it's important to make sure that it doesn't feel planned. You don't want your players to finish a fight that ends in a party wipe, and then have them think, oh, this was what it was supposed to be. We were supposed to die, and there was no way that we could have won. You want them to feel lucky to have survived, and look back at the encounter and scrutinize it for what they could have done better. Additionally, a party should never just be able to walk away from a TPK without consequence. If they wake up and find themselves captives of bandits, for instance, maybe they've permanently lost their gear, including that hella good magic rapier that the rogue was so very fond of. Or maybe an NPC pulls a Dobby and uses some last-ditch magic to teleport the party to safety, but that magic costs the NPC their life. The party has survived, but they've lost something dear. A TPK, even if you invent a way for your party to survive it, should still always be considered a failure, no matter what. And it's something that the party needs to learn how to rise from. It's a group experience in which they've fallen, and now together they need to learn how to rise up again.
My friends, it is I, Count Strahd von Zarovich, and I bid thee listen. The Guild of the Black Crow have produced over 5 hours of ambient sound design for my most beautiful and ancient land. As used by Twice Bitten, these ambient backgrounds include my most private and intimate of letters, as well as bonus tracks not found in the Dungeon Master's handbook. So, hear me now. I guarantee you safe passage to their camp. Support them, and perhaps we shall meet sooner than you think.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Curse of Strahd Twice Bitten. Before we begin, as always, just a few brief announcements. As always, thank you to Foundry VTT for being our continuing virtual tabletop sponsor for this campaign. Second up, Twy, if you want to just give yours real quick.
Yeah, for sure. So, subscribing's great. People who subscribe are great. If you become a person who subscribes, you will be doubly great. And isn't that something to have? We get all the great things. We got emotes, we have membership in a wonderful community of fans. And, of course, you get the satisfaction of saying you have been supporting this group of jabronis as we go forth and use the money to make this stream as good as it can be and give back to the community. So, if you have money, if you have Amazon Prime, subscribe with Twitch Prime, feel free. And thank you so much for watching. We are incredibly grateful to have you.
Absolutely, and actually, just so everyone's aware, thank you to those who have already subscribed via Twitch. We are planning on potentially putting that toward a new custom asset for the stream that will be, of course, made available to the Curse of Strahd community should we be able to move forward on it. So again, thank you to everyone who is making that possible. Sarita, do you want to run down the socials real quick?
Absolutely, I do. So you can remember to join the discussion on each episode on our very own subreddit, reddit.com/r/twicebittendnd, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/rcurseofstrahd, for all of our past sessions, our fireside chats, video essays, and highlights from the stream.
All right, thank you, Serena. And just very briefly, as we do have the holiday season coming up, Linus, do you want to give a rundown of what's coming up there?
Yes, 2 holiday breaks. First of all, next Saturday, the 28th, we'll be taking a week off. It says here it's for Thanksgiving, but I think it's actually because everyone will be too busy celebrating birthdays. Our other break is December 26th, day after Christmas. As we have no monks, we cannot fight on Boxing Day, so we are saving that for next week. Yep.
Yeah,
Hello.
I wasn't
And
sure if
those
my stream
breaks.
cut out or what.
Did I cut out there?
No, you were great.
No,
Okay,
you're good.
cool. Well, those are the 2 days we're taking off. Everyone Zoom with your families.
Yes. Go see your loved
I think our
ones.
DM is having a hoagie right now.
Yes.
Our DM is having a very special moment with his lunch.
Yes. And really,
God.
shouldn't we all?
Oh God, Dragna, your webcam is on.
Oh, no.
No.
I hope that's mayonnaise.
Better be. Hope that's not.
All right. All right, so I think that is all for announcements and the public shaming that you've all seen fit to share with me. So,
We do it because we love you.
of course, and I appreciate that. And I will show it in any way that I can. So, with that, thank you again for everyone sticking around, and let's dive right back in. I believe Amity, as you find yourself glancing down at this darkened, terraced hill, the sounds of the storm mounting upon you. And as you look down, you can see atop the great terraced hill an enormous black egg. The egg stands there massive, easily 20, 30 feet tall, perhaps more so, casting a dark shadow as the light of the full moon shines beyond it. You hear the fluttering of great wings far overhead. And as you look, you can see a great black shadow with long, bat-like wings casting across the moon, darkening its light. And for a moment on the surface of the egg, you see sweeping across it the silhouette of a tall, gaunt man, flickering across the surface before dissipating into shadows. As the massive silhouette's wings spread across the sky, you see suddenly crawling forth from the earth, slowly at first, and then moving toward the egg. 6 serpents. Their bodies, black and brown and green, covered and intertwined with twisting vines and brambles. But as you can see, their skin is marked in places with old, dried, in some cases fresh, liquid crimson. Blood that marks their bodies in spiraling, twisting patterns. Together, the 6 serpents begin to make their way around the egg in a slow, eerie, slithering dance. Slowly, they draw closer to its surface, to each other, these long snakes beginning to intertwine with one another, until their long serpentine bodies are intertwined with one another, pulling fully around the radius of this massive egg. And then slowly they begin to slither up the sides together, the ring, this Ouroboros of serpent on intertwining with serpent, begins to pull up around to the center, where the egg bulges out. And slowly they begin to twist, tightening, pulling their grip taut as they intertwine, their coils growing tighter and tighter. Lightning strikes in the distance. Thunder booms, and there is no rain, only the crackle of the storm, and mist and fog rising from the edges of the hill begin to pull and wrap around the sides of the egg. There is silence for a moment, and then, as the serpents pull taut, their muscles flexing beneath the long serpentine python bodies, there is a terrible cracking sound. And then another. And then, with a terrible cacophonous chorus of splintering and crunching, the egg sweeps open, a massive hole puncturing its center with darkness, and a gale of black shards, bringing with them a chill, icy wind sweep forth from the crack. This gale of black ice sweeps out, forming a massive cloud that slowly forms into a silhouette, a giant monstrous shape, amorphous at first, and then slowly forming long claws that sweep through the air across the hill with inky black tendrils extending from its head and from its feet. It towers above the horizon, seeming to grow and grow to impossible sizes as you watch. It moves forward, and with a single step, moves its way to the base of the hill. You see now, below the hill at the sides, extending in acres and acres around it, hundreds and hundreds of vines bearing healthy purple and green grapes, and as this massive foot comes down, all of them, every acre crushed. You watch, once mounted atop the vines, 9 black ravens, suddenly calling out in alarm, squawking in terror and fear and scattering, just barely escaping the zone of impact before the foot crashes down, this monstrous form, destroying the acres of vines that lie below it. Slowly, the silhouette steps forward, 1 foot after another, and in its wake you can see where once healthy vines grew, there was only black ashen rot, the earth salted and gouged and scarred, a deep pestilence that descends deep into the earth, great splintering cracks of black mud and decay and ruin. You hear a distant sound of bird cries growing closer, and as you watch the 9 ravens that had escaped now swirl through the air, you see them approaching to you, now hovering above in the air as the silhouette continues its inexorable march from the hill. The ravens pull toward you, multiplying, splitting, until there is a storm, a vortex of swirling black feathers that surrounds you. For a moment, your eyes go dark, nothing more than the feathers extending in all directions as the ravens engulf you. There's a terrible splintering sound in the distance. Then you open your eyes to the sight of thin rays of gray light seeping in as your compatriots arise for the morning. Morning comes for the Wizard of Wine's winery, and Amity awakes.
I wake up with a start and immediately go to the window.
The window is clear. There's a bit of a drizzle, but
no big claw things in the distance or ravens swooping in to attack.
Make a perception check.
Incoming. That is merely a 6. Too foggy, perhaps.
The fog is reasonably strong today, but try as you might glancing through it, you can only see the beginning of the dark cult tree line. Nothing more beyond that.
Well, I'm going to get up and sort of try to tread lightly around the others to go across the hall to the kitchen and just start. I don't want to say it's stress baking, okay? But, like, let's say it's non-stress baking.
Abject terror baking.
Therapy baking.
Calmness baking.
That works.
It's just, convenient that you have to punch a lot of dough.
The others can wake up on their own time.
Yes.
All right. Well, Linus, the rest of you see Amity looking out the window and then hastily making her way upstairs. Amity, as you come to the kitchen, you do find several of the Martikovs. You find Dag already there working alongside Elvir as they seem to begin to be putting together something resembling a breakfast.
Okay, I will of course help them out, and I will also make some very small additional treats on the side that will come into play, surely. Just some, I want to, if there's room for something like small and sweet.
Yes, Elvir and Dag seem quite grateful for your help, and I'd say you're able to make us perhaps some small pastries or something if you would like, just a small addition to the meal. The ingredients, as mentioned, are pretty sparse, but there are a few things that you can kind of put together to make a pleasing side dish that it seems most of the family and your fellow travelers might enjoy.
Oh, thank goodness. From the way Linus was describing them, it sounded like Amity was making explosives or something.
I mean, can she? Is that around? Is there gunpowder?
I mean, you don't know if she took a level in Artificer.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh my god, she actually could.
And you got the PM Dragon about which type of poison I'm using?
Oh, yes, 100%.
Ooh, I hope it's Midnight Tears. I love those.
So, the rest of you awaken, meanwhile, as Amity makes her way upstairs. The day is yours.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing?
So when Metreon gets up, he kind of like stumbles around a bit, and realizing that he just put his jacket on without his other clothing to go to sleep in, he takes off his jacket in front of everybody, and puts on the armor and the shirt and the jacket, and sort of stumbles around for a moment, looking at where he's at, taking in the fact that he's still in this fermenting area, but he'll kind of go up. Are Randy and Kiva awake?
Well, I think, yeah, Earthendeer's probably like blinking, probably writing when he's getting up, and he kind of opens his mouth to say good morning, sees the state he's in, and then promptly directs his gaze to the ceiling and kind of while he finishes dressing. Morning.
I'd say you notice it's not like he's hiding it, but there's definitely this return to feeling defeated, the same way that he did before he got drunk.
Yeah,
and he's just kind of keeping to himself though.
You sleep all right?
Oh, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's as good as I could.
Well as can be expected in the circumstances. All right. Yeah, I can buy that. He kind of shuts his book and stands. Well, I'm going to go I think Amity's in the kitchen helping the Martikovs if you want her. I have some to do while it's still early. I need to go drag those corpses out to the road. So have a good morning. He's going to kind of tromp out of the room.
All right, and you're looking to remove the druid's corpses?
Yeah. Earthrendir is going to, take whatever belongings they've still got, make sure that they've got everything, and the ones that he's going to leave the one that his scythes kind of eviscerated alone because he's not touching that. But he's going to drag.
Sorry to interrupt. You do actually find that it seems that they've already been removed.
Can he ask a Martikov where?
All right, you pull over Stefania, who has, the kind of the infant in her arms, and her what seems like her teenage son just behind her. She blinks at you. Oh, you mean the?
Yeah, the druids.
Right. I think maybe the others took them out last night. Didn't want to. And she kind of glances a little helplessly down towards her children.
He nods. Yeah, no, that's fine. Just do you know where?
I think maybe out in the grove. You'll have some luck.
All right.
And they didn't want it too close.
Yeah, no, I'm with him. I just thank you, and he will kind of.
Of course.
Good morning.
She kind of makes her way past it, and you hear her say, "Elvir, Dag, what is that delicious smell?" And you hear, "My dear, that is actually..." And you can kind of see Amity, but then you make your way away.
Yeah. He will peek in for just a moment, seeing Amity baking, and just give a very soft little smile, and then promptly head out to the grove she directed him to.
All right. You make your way slowly out through the vineyard, now quiet and misty. It takes you a good few minutes to find it. Make a, I guess this would be an investigation check.
Alrighty.
And while this is happening, what are Metreon, Kiva, and Lillison doing?
Metreon actually he's going to redon his disguise. So he's going to paint his face and his hair and all that. He'll also use the last of the wine from Kiva's bottle to kind of swish around in his mouth and spit out as mouthwash.
While he's doing that, Kiva's sort of like not pacing nervously, but she's just sort of keeping an eye. And when he seems almost done, she sort of clears her throat and goes, "Can I ask you something?"
I mean, yeah, you can.
No, I just I was wondering if you could maybe help me out with a tattoo, actually.
I'm not really much of an artist myself. I mean, I've done some on me, but why?
I don't know. I feel as though I'm leaving a part of me behind here, and I just wanted to maybe commemorate that.
I mean, yeah. You want it now?
No. I mean, when we're back in Vallaki and safe, but just if you could, if it's no trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Are we getting out of here or what? I mean,
I hope so. I don't want to stay here much longer than I have to, especially if, and she sort of drops her voice, if something else is coming back.
Metreon shudders when she says that, but kind of cracks his neck a bit and steels himself. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still early, so we can, if we get out now, we can at least get to the gates, but before afternoon.
Right, and thank you for even considering it. I know you've got probably other things on your mind.
Yeah. I mean, only thing right now is just not being here.
And if you ever, need to talk about, whatever, I'm here. So, and then she just sort of like leaves the room.
As you start to leave, Metreon, you notice that Metreon kind of reaches out, but pulls his hand back.
You're not alone in any of this. So she leaves. That's it.
Yeah.
There's an investigation roll.
That'd be a 19.
All right. It actually takes you only around 5 minutes or so to dig up, or not dig up, but locate where the things appear to have been taken. And actually, dig up is perhaps more apt, as you find a large earthen mound, perhaps 5 or so feet across, that seems to have been dug up recently and covered through. But given the few shreds of fabric on the brambles nearby, you surmise that this is likely where the corpses were buried.
Okay. Earthrendeer looks at the project, kind of muttering, "Damn it," to himself. And I think is going to, in lieu of having a spade to deal with that, he's instead going to start placing little cairns of stones every so often that lead from the tree line, from this place along the tree line, and eventually to the spot where the woods meet the road. Sort of a steady path that someone could follow if they were looking for it. And he's going to put that intersecting there, along with probably something bright from his bag, maybe a bird's feather he's found or something, to make it stick out. And then is going to go back to the winery.
All right, so, Earthrendeer is absent. Davian, Lillison, you see Davian approaching you. He kind of grunts, stepping forward, and affixes his somewhat wrinkled eyes on you. Right, so you lot sticking around then? Or do you think that we might get our fermentation room back?
We are happy to be out of your hair as soon as possible. I do still have no idea what they did to these things, she says as she slaps the side of one of the fermentation vats. I actually think that Kiva picked up one of the vials of whatever they were pouring in.
Well, whatever they did, it ain't fucking drinkable no more. Just sampled it last night myself. It's fucking rotten is what it is. Dunno how hazardous it might be, but no matter what, I can be rest assured that those vats, that's going to need to be disposed of, I should think.
There's no salvaging them or anything like that?
No, it's absolutely fucked is what it is.
She nods and shrugs a little bit.
He kind of shrugs. But you're not the one who'd pour whatever in it, so what do you care? Right, well, if you're going to be leaving this morning, right, anything else you need, or are we good to get back to whatever?
Although, he looks thoughtful for a moment.
Is that it then? You're going to be heading back to where you come from, Velaki, I reckon?
Yeah, that's where we're going.
That's the plan. I don't think that will make Erwin very happy if we tell him that all the wine was just spoiled, but it is what it is.
You notice that Davian's face hardens for a moment at what you just said. And then his features very quickly kind of very purposefully return to neutrality. Right. Well, if you're looking to bring some wine, we do got a few barrels left on the wagon. A few downstairs I could have my boys rustle up. If I must, given, what you've done for us and all that. I suppose I could see to it that you got something to go back for your troubles.
That would be most kind of you. Thank you.
Right. Oi! Adrian! Elvia! Where are you sorry sacks at? There's like a few moments pause, and then you hear like very prompt footsteps. Adrian and Elver kind of glancing down. Adrian with the kind of raised eyebrows and Elver leaning against the wall. Adrian gives his father a nod. Yes, sir. Davian grunts. This lot. We're giving him the last of the barrels. Heading to the waterfall inn, right? Get ready. Adrian nods. Yes, father, I'll get to it immediately. Elvia, you've got, Elvia kind of nods. And with that, they begin moving out. You see Elvir make his way out of the loading dock and kind of turn around to the side where you saw the stable. And you see Adrian descend to the lower floor. At this point, Erthrindir, you return and you see Elvir leading 2 draft horses out of the stable. As you enter into the fermentation chamber, you see Davian standing near to Lillison and Metreon.
Mayo. I presume by the horses outside, we've got some stuff to take back.
We do. They said that whatever was in the fermentation vats was unsalvageable, but they're giving us the last of these barrels as thanks for what we did.
Oh, that's a whole season's... Are y'all going to be okay?
Quick question. Where is Kiva at this point? And Amity, at this point, I presume breakfast is finished. If you'd like, you can join the group as well.
Yes, we were bringing in plates of eggs, toast for sure, bacon.
All right,
Just
and
a
Kiva, you're
classic
rejoining
breakfast.
as well. Thank you.
Yeah,
Amity.
she would have after she left, Metreon would have found the others.
All right, so each of you do hear Erthrindir's question to Davian. And he grunts. Fuck, yeah, well, truth be told, in good times, that it ain't much to put those barrels together. We got a pretty good crop here most usually, but with how things are being left, this delivery ain't gonna last long. I suppose he kind of grunts, looking dissatisfied for a moment. You must have seen the state of our vineyard out there, aye?
We did.
Truth be told, it ain't looking good because, well, weren't exactly what the druids did. That withered it down much.
What do you mean?
Well, lad, you know the name of this here establishment, don't you?
Wizard of Wines.
Aye. And before it was owned by my family, stories say there was a wizard who left a little something to help us along. 3 little somethings. That, well, I don't know how much you lot know about wine growing, but Brovi ain't exactly the usual climate for it. But, well, you don't need real seeds to get vines to grow. Not always.
What you getting at? You mean this wizard here helped you grow these vines? Is that what you're getting at?
Are you fucking deaf? I just said the wizard was before my family. Learn to listen, you little. Anyways.
Thank you
I
for
was
not finishing
saying-
that sentence. Yes, there's some sort of magic that's carried on.
Right, I'm in a good mood today. Anyways.
This is
what
good.
I was
All right.
saying, before I was interrupted again, he kind of fixes Metreon for a moment before clearing his throat and continuing. Right, well, Historically, the Wizard of Wines has got 3 seeds, you might call them. They ain't seeds, you see. Look like, well, I suppose you might say they look like pine cones. About the right size for it. Glow nice and bright and green when they dig them out of the ground. And that's exactly what the bloody fuckers did.
Who did?
The fucking forest folk, the goddamn druids and their little blights. They fucking took one of them, the fucking witch took the other, and now we're here fucking out of any vines. You got any more questions, smart guy?
Yeah, what you mean by a witch?
Ah, for fuck. Right, you lot don't fucking know anything. Right. There's... Let me... I ain't fucking historian. There's an old ruin out east. Berez. Flooded place. Fucking shithole, if you ask me. We got a bit of a bad neighbor. Get along very poorly. She's been a right fucking bitch, if I might say so. And whatever fucking reason, around the same time, the forest folks started coming up and putting their little fun. The bitch from Berez sends her little minions sneaking into my vineyard at night and digging up one of my seeds. Ain't soon after that the druids come and they take the last one. Without either of those, I ain't got nothing left. And let me make this clear. Without those, Barovia ain't got nothing left.
You're the only vineyard here.
That ain't the only vineyard here. I'm the only... My vineyard is the only source of anything that's keeping these folks sane. You've seen what Barovia's like. Wizard of Wine's the only thing that's giving them a little bit of heat to keep going. A little bit of warmth in the night. If I can't grow more, that's fucking shot to hell.
What have you done to maybe not have this rivalry?
Look, lad, don't fucking come after me. If you are assuming that I've done anything less than my best, these are... The druids, they're fucked up. The bitch in Berez, she's... I don't fucking know, but she's as fucked up as you can be, living up in a swampy old ruin like that.
Well, you keep calling her a bitch, maybe that's why she's mad at you.
Well, if... You think you're funny, do you?
Or is that a rhetorical question or a legitimate one?
Right. Well, now the funny man said his piece. What it comes down to is this, right? If I don't get those seeds back, if the vineyard don't get those seeds back, without those gems, we can't fucking grow shit. Not in these lands, not in this soil, not in these fucking mists. Without us, that Barovia ain't gonna have one more fucking drop of wine except whatever I can squeeze from the goodwill of the Vistani. And they don't fucking share.
To be clear here, are you asking us to do something?
Here's what I'm asking, here's what I'm saying. My family, we ain't no fires. We make fucking wine, we do what we can, but what you lot showed us yesterday was that you might be capable of a little something more. Now, I know you must not have been in Barovia for long. You don't look it. You ain't near pale enough, but if you care one whit about these folk, look, all I'm saying is that you could do a lot worse than helping us bring back our trade as best we can.
So where do the ravens come in?
Sorry, the fuck of what?
The ravens. They helped us out in there, and when we were attacked at your family's inn, I saw giant fucking human-sized ravens. Do you know anything about that?
I got no fucking clue what you're talking about.
Can I insight check him?
Me too.
By all means.
That's a 12.
8. Sad boy.
He's an older guy, seems tough to read. He's just kind of glowering at you for the most part.
Reasonable. Have a nice day.
You know, your family members were also quite quiet when I brought them up. Is that a trait that you guys all share?
Sorry, what?
When I asked them about it, they also decided to keep their mouths shut. So is that something that you genuinely don't know, or you just don't want to tell me? Because what you're asking is quite a big ask.
Look, lads, I don't know anything you fucking... Whatever you fucking talk about, giant birds or whatever.
Well,
It's
one
a
of them
forest,
likes
you got birds.
They seem to
Sorry,
know who
what?
you are.
Well, yeah, fucking feed them. You give a bunch of birds bird seed, they're gonna take it. I can't speak for birds.
What is this thing that we're supposed to be fighting?
Right, so...
No,
Two places you
let's
got, no,
rephrase that you want us to fight, because we're not
Yes,
supposed to be doing
please.
anything to get to anything other than getting out of here.
Yeah, alright, so... As far as we can tell, the 2 gems we know where they are, one of them's down south, not too far from here. Yester Hill. It's where the forest folk, them druids, settle up. They took it... not a long time ago, a couple of days at this point. Not much we can do to get back, but if you could make your way there, try to do what you can to recover it. I'm not saying you need to clear out fucking Yester Hill. I don't know who lives there or what's going on there, but if you could get that seed back. Same for Berez. It's a little bit further from here, out east. Gotta pass by Selenka Pass and head south at Luna River Crossroads, but if you get there, I don't know what the old bitch and her little scarecrow friends have got for it, but if you can find where she's taken the other one, bring it back. That would be good wine we can put out for these people.
And why do they have them? I mean,
Yeah.
are they trying to grow their own wine?
Yeah, what do they want from this?
I don't fucking know, right? Do I look like a mind reader?
You seem to have a lot more information than we thought you had, so forgive us for not wanting to run right into what seems like our deaths.
And
Get some gems for someone who's been pretty unhospitable so far, considering we brought back his home for him.
And also, you've had these things in your family for years. Do you have a ballpark at what they could be doing with them, given their capabilities? That seems
Hold on one
like...
fucking moment. He kind of meets Kiva's glance with a long, hard, simmering glare. Don't you fucking imply that my family is anything but grateful. We'll give you your goddamn wine, ain't we?
We're giving wine to take back to the winery. This isn't for us.
You ask for it, we're giving it. I'm sure
We
we'll do
are
that
doing
gratitude.
this for your family. Maybe if you hadn't...
What fucking family?
It's not that we think that your family's ungrateful, just you. So, again, like my companion asked, what's waiting for us there? Why and how are we going to? How would you want us to deal with it? We need to know things. You can't just keep sending us out on things, just hoping that we do something about it and hoping we survive it. You know, I mean, you said this Yester Hill place is filled with a bunch of druids. Yeah, we almost died fighting 5 of them. So 4 of them, rather. So right now, it takes a lot for at least me to get motivated to do something about it.
Especially when you're being such a fucking twat.
Hey, Kiva.
Damien
Justified.
just grunts and waves a hand. Fuck it. Do what you want. See if I give a damn. My boys will see your wagon loaded. Then I'll see you right the fuck on the road.
Sir, I understand how you're feeling right now. Or actually, no, I probably don't. But more to the point, we are probably the only folks who are going to be able to approach this. You may not have the information we want, but if you want us to even be able to, start to think about this being a possibility, And we are thinking about it, as evidenced by the fact that we're still here and haven't stormed off 5 minutes ago. We just need to know what you know. We will do our best to not imply anything. We will do our best not to impugn you or your family's generosity. But everything you've got on, that's all. If you genuinely have nothing else, then, well, we're not walking into that, because I'm not walking into a settlement of people with that kind of power. But if you can tell us anything else, then we can talk.
Make a persuasion check.
All right.
Just it's in character, but let me rephrase that. Does it seem like Erthandir is interested in pursuing this? If he offers more information,
Reluctantly, yes.
So, with that, can I help with the persuasion roll?
If you'd like to say something.
Yes. So I look at Erethandir, seeing that he is curious about it, and even despite having almost died to them, he at least wants to know more. So he goes down and he looks Davian in the eyes, and he goes, "Listen, we can be friendly about this. We can be civil. We can be cordial. We just need to know what's going on." And as he says that, the red pupils in his eyes expand, and his voice gets a little bassier, and he's going to go ahead and cast Friends.
Oh, shit. Oh, boy, we're going to die. But I am excited.
All right. So, I suppose, I mean, I will say, unfortunately, you were already helping Erthrindir to roll with advantage here, as you were assisting with his persuasion check. But I will say that Friends lowers the DC.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see how this goes. $15. And that
15.
advantage was much needed because the first one was an 8.
All right. Davian pauses, and you see him kind of slump his shoulders for a second, and he glances back toward you, meeting Metrion's eyes. A bit of weariness in his voice. Right. Well, the most I can tell you is that Yesterhill's just got druids and whatever mountain folk warriors they've got up there. Big old fuckers with axes and leathers. Maybe the blights, I don't know. Most of them seem clustered around a big old tree to the south side, but like I said, information's not that easy to come by all the time. As for Perez, there's an old witch there. Her name's Babalisaga. That's what we've heard, at least. Makes these monsters, scarecrows, she sends out. If you are interested in helping, going to Perez, after perhaps maybe visiting Yesterhill, there's a friend of mine watching over her to make sure she don't get up to anything. Her name's Muriel Vinshaw. You might be able to find her in the mists around Perez. And at that moment, you know, Davian's face kind of like, his eyes widening in horror. And I'll thank you not to fuck with my head, you piece of shit. And he spits on the ground toward Metron and storms off.
Did the rest of us catch what Metron did, or no?
I would say that at most Kiva might have noticed that he was a bit... Kiva probably would have noticed given her passive perception, but probably no one else.
The hell was that about?
I want to call after him. I look, I know tensions are really running high. We're all super stressed because of the attacks everywhere, but...
A door slams. Davian's gone.
There's no point trying to reason with assholes like him.
Well, It got us enough.
Not
Big-
enough for me to want to go risk my life dealing with some fucking mountain folk with axes. We
All right.
barely made it out of here. 5 of us against 4 of them.
Understood. And I'm with you. But consider this. If we don't keep pursuing leads, we're going to die.
And maybe pursuing them is just going to lead us there faster. What's your point?
Would you rather die doing something or die when the vampire decides we are no longer worth having around?
I don't give a fuck what he thinks anyway, but
Would you care when he is tearing out your throat? 'Cause I do. 'Cause he nearly ripped my heart out of my chest, and I'm not keen to repeat the experience.
and what's to say us going and stopping all of his evil little friends' plans is going to make him not want to do that sooner?
Y'all heard him back at the inn. He's interested in us as long as we stay interesting. Now, I don't really have the tools to know precisely what that means, but he said that right after I acquiesced and kind of laid over for him, so I'm presuming he means he wants some sort of, I don't know, defiance, or I don't know his
He wants
mind.
to get in a fight.
Look,
What?
I can't be the only one who thinks that this is a bad idea, right?
No, but
It's a terrible idea.
Is it possible to be interesting without risking our lives trying to...
I absolutely agree with Amity. I think Amity's plenty interesting, and she's not trying to kill me or ruin my plans.
that's not the kind of interesting he wants to.
Yeah, Metrion's right. He needs people like that. They want blood.
He wants to break our spirits.
Yep, literal and metaphorical.
I mean, he's already done that for me, so you win, Strahd. I'm broken. What the fuck is the point?
The point is that we might live a little longer if we play along.
It's all a
I'm not-
fucking game, dude.
Damn right. And, you know, frankly, I do think we're going to die here, but the point is, I like y'all, and I, for one, would like to keep me and you alive for as long as we can, as that helps us figure out either a plan or get strong enough to do something. It's not a happy route. It's not a route I want, but Kiva, I don't see another choice.
There's another choice. We don't play his fucking game. If he wants defiance, then we won't play.
And then we die! And then
If we die either way, then what's the point? You're not doing a very good job of convincing me for this.
If we
You
die
said
Do
you
I
wanted
need
to
to
stay
it's better.
remind you? Do I need to remind you that 3 of us almost died here? How are we going to stop an entire army of these people?
I don't know. I just don't want to. He just stopped.
Hey, where's Lillison?
Shoot, is she all right? She'll be fine. There's not blights around.
Is Lillison still around?
Lillison, about 15 minutes ago, has left the conversation and gone over to talk to Adrian, and is just like, "Can I help you load those barrels?"
He blinks at you. Oh, if you wouldn't mind just getting the door while I proceed. And you find him actually downstairs in the wine cellar. In the frosty chill of the air, you can see your breath kind of forming into small icy clouds. You can see that of the 3 barrels that were here the last time, only 2 remain. He has his sleeves rolled up and has started rolling one of the barrels over toward the ramp on the southeastern side. When I get to the top there, there's just a few doors in the way to make sure that if you could hold them open for me so I can roll this all the way upstairs.
Yes, of course.
Thank you. And actually, I don't remember if there are any doors in the way, but for the sake of argument, let's say that there is a door that Lillison can helpfully open. Regardless, Lillison accompanies Adrian as he rolls the barrel up the ramp, past the first floor, up to the second floor, and rolls it into the loading bay up top on the second floor, where you can see there the winch. Down below, through the hole in the ground by the cart, which you can see still has the 3 barrels preloaded, you can hear the whinnying and nickering of a pair of horses. One of whom you can see already seems to have a saddle and harness set onto it. You can see Elvir slowly strapping the cart to the horse's harness as Adrian nods and begins making his way over to the winch, with some assistance from you if you would like, with your mage hand or otherwise. He shows you how he attaches the barrel to the winch, and using the gears and machinery of it, lifts it just over the side of the railing that borders the hole and lowers it down as Elvir moves to help guide it onto the top. Repeating this process for the other barrel until there are 6 barrels stacked on the wagon in the loading bay below.
Yeah, on the way down the ramps between each barrel, Lillison's just going to casually say, "This is terribly kind of your family to... Well, from the sound of what your father was saying, it sounds like this might be the last wine, perhaps ever."
Well, you never know. There's always some sort of hope that fortune might smile upon us. I know that it's not much, and, well, my father certainly likes to dismiss me as naive, but I like to think that, when things are dark enough, there might be a bit of light. It's not much, and things aren't going to look good for a while, but who knows? Maybe we'll move into turnips or become a potato farm. I can't say.
Well, with potatoes, at least you can make vodka, but...
An intriguing possibility. Likely wouldn't taste good, but my father might enjoy that. He certainly might need it after today. From the sound of it in the other room, he's not having a pleasant morning. I apologize for his gruffness.
I mean, I don't think you need to apologize for anything, but these magic things that he was talking about, are they common knowledge?
I think that if he didn't mention it, he would prefer that you keep it on the quiet.
Of course.
Although at this point it may be that the cat is out of the bag, as it were, given that, well, anyone who might have seeked to take them from us likely already has. 10 years ago, my family's vineyard was the pride of Barovia. Those 3 stalks of vines. Say what you will about this foliage wood, but our vineyard was pristine. We kept it as best we could, and now, without any of the seeds remaining, there's not much left. I mean, it's a tradition that goes back beyond my family to the Kreskos before them and to whatever wizard created this place at its origin, however many hundreds or thousands of years ago. No, hundreds is more likely, I would imagine. But whoever's held the Wizard of Wines has done their best to serve the people of Barovia. And it might take a little while to figure out what that looks like unless we can regain what's been taken.
You said there was 3 of them, but your father only mentioned where 2 of them might have gone.
He winces as he turns over the final barrel and begins rolling it across the floor. Yes, that's a bit of a dicey matter. I would suggest asking my father instead, but it likely would not be a very productive conversation. Well, you said you came from Vloki, right? From the inn there?
Well, most recently, yes.
Is Erwin still running it?
Yes, he and Danica and their 2 little boys, although I don't think the boys help run it so much as cause trouble. But they're They seem to be doing well.
He kind of pauses for a moment. Glad to hear. Usually I'm not the one to make the deliveries out there, but I'm glad to hear that, well, as it may, I imagine that I'll likely be accompanying you. My father seems to wish that I help organize this, which I can't say I blame him. So I'm sure we will be traveling to Vallaki if you care to join us. But I'm glad to hear that they're doing well. But sorry, I'm wandering off. The question you asked about what happened to the first seed, the gem that was first lost. Should you catch him in a good mood, then I imagine he can't be otherwise after this delivery, you might ask Owen. He might be able to tell you more.
Ah.
But I would caution you against asking unless you feel you truly must know. There are some bad memories with that story.
I see. For me, this is just a matter of curiosity, but it does seem, from everything your father has said, that for you and for all of Barovia, the matter of finding these is much more grave.
It would seem so. At this point, he's kind of rolled the barrel all the way up, and you're helping him once again attach the winch to the barrel as he slowly prepares it. There's a slight ticking sound as the gears grind in the mechanism and machinery. My father can be a bit melodramatic at times, but he's certainly correct about this time. Without those seeds, there's... Well, I know that wine, alcohol least of all, are no panacea, but the shadow over Barovia is not lifted in a very long time, and without that, you do what you can to keep spirits up, you know? And I fear what might become of our country folk if we can't do what we can to bring that little bit of warmth, that little bit of comfort. Do you understand?
Yes. Each of us just does what we can. And if you can't do anything, if you can't do everything, that doesn't mean you do nothing.
Perhaps. At this point, the barrel settles into the wagon with a comfortable thunk, and Adrian nods and begins raising the winch. He steps off the mechanism and turns to you with a smile on his face, a genuine one. Perhaps. But perhaps for now, that's not entirely my decision to make. But thank you for your help.
She smiles at him and says, "Are you looking forward to this journey and perhaps seeing Erwin?"
I should say so. It's been a while since I've seen my brother and sister-in-law, let alone my nephews. It'd be nice to spoil them for a bit, though perhaps I don't bring over much, but... It'll be nice to see family. I've missed them.
She just nods with an understanding look. It doesn't bring up anything else, and says, "Well, shall we head down then?"
Let's shall. And he kind of nods, still smiling, and begins making his way back into the fermentation room. And at this point, I imagine, as Davian has stormed out, and the conversation amongst the other simmers, you see Lilison enter from the second floor, alongside Adrian.
Oh, there she is.
Adrian kind of like looks over the temperature of the room, kind of like winces a bit, and murmurs to Lilison, "Right, I'd best go see how my sister's doing, and just the kids know that we'll be gone for a little while. We'll be heading out shortly if you and yours wouldn't mind accompanying us to ensure that we don't run into any trouble on the road. I'm sure that would be appreciated."
"Yes, we'll be ready shortly.
Wonderful. I'll meet you outside then, shortly. And he nods and makes his way around the balcony to the other side, then opening the door to the living quarters area, and then closing it behind him again.
Lillison has just had a very pleasant conversation and is smiling, and then looks at everybody else.
Earthwinder is right. I mean, if you talk about if we're going to die no matter what, we're all going to die no matter what. And we all want that to last as long as possible. Amity then sees Lillison come in and is like, but Davian's given us a quest. She sort of spits the word out.
It sounded more like he gave you an invective, and I was able to find out much more about it from his son.
Thank you. He's an ill-tempered man.
Yes, he is.
What did his son say?
Well, his son was much more pleasant, and that's not difficult, but he told me a bit about the history of those magic things, and said that if they don't have them, they might be able to eke out some sort of other living after they figure things out, but I feel that was just a brave face he was putting on. It also sounds as if there might be some family issues, and Erwin might know a bit more about where one of those magical things is.
Well, that's good to know. Regardless, we're just at a bit of an impasse.
Well, our path directly in front of us seems clear enough. We've been asked to escort the shipment of wine back to Vallaki, make sure it gets there safely.
All right. Yeah, that's doable. And that way we can get paid.
Yeah, let's maybe get a move on.
Yeah.
Don't want to lose any more light.
Agreed. We can discuss this later when we're just later.
Agreed. Before we go, Adrian's still in the room, right?
Adrian is not
ducked
in the
out.
room. You are alone in the
Okay.
fermentation chamber once more.
I'm gonna go just find a Martikov nearest one and just ask if there's any terraced hills.
You find Dag, who is...
Dag.
You find him in the printing chamber, kind of working with the teenaged boy to try to, clean and organize it a little bit. Kind of glances up, gives you a smile. Good morning again. Are you planning on setting off soon?
Oh, most likely. We've got to deliver the wine back to Vallaki. But I just wanted to know, this is probably a very silly question, but do you know if there's any, within the mist and all, if there's any hills that are a bunch of steps, basically if you stacked some mesas?
I'm not sure I know the mesas, but if you are looking for a hill with little steps, not so little steps on the side, big steps, I think you would be looking for Yester Hill, down south of here.
Yeah, and immediately gets sort of an edge in her look. Just to make sure, she's going to try to describe it a little bit more specifically. There's some columnar jointing around the edges.
Yes, I've not been there myself, but from what's been described to me, it sounds like Yester Hill.
Is there
Not a very friendly place. Not friendly people.
Is there a storm at the top with a big egg and a bunch of snakes?
I don't know. Snakes? I'm sure the woods have snakes, but I do not know if there are snakes on the hill. Egg? I did not know if there is an egg. Very strange question. You are a strange person, though. I like you. But storm, yes. There is storm. Lots of lightning. No rain, though. but very thundery.
That is very interesting. Thanks for letting me know. I might be back sooner than I thought. She's going to sprint down back to the party.
All right.
And say, just letting you know, just as a fun fact, so you remember how I've been getting on about possibly being sent weird dreams and such?
Oh no.
Any
So-
statement that starts with fun fact is going to be quite ominous. Go on.
That is how I tend to talk, yes. But so last night, just a quite abstract one, there's a hill, but instead of like a slope, it was like a bunch of steps going up. Like very large steps, geography. And there's a big storm raging at the top of the hill. And on the hill, there was a very large egg. Now, before I get to the rest of this, I will preface the rest of this by saying that I just went and asked, Dag, if there was such a hill that looked like that, just in case it meant something. And they said that, in fact, there was pretty much matching that exact description. Yes, the hill is basically exactly that, like complete with the storm.
Earthendeer puts his head in his hands. Oh, so...
So not to freak you out or anything, but what happened was some snakes made out of vines covered in thorns, living plants, swarmed up to the egg and impregnated it. And it hatched into this monstrous, like the blights we were fighting, but its foot was as big as this winery itself. It proceeded to march down the hill, shaking the ground, march right up here, and squash the house and the fields with 2 steps.
So yeah, maybe we don't go there. Yeah.
I don't know
Never.
how much of this was metaphorical.
Sounds like it'll be coming to us. Or to them, at least.
Yeah, I'm really not seeing why we should be going after this.
Where did it go
Well-
after that?
After that, a bunch of ravens just swarmed around me, and I woke up.
Weird. Well,
I was also flying the whole time, but that's just because it's a dream.
yeah, no, of course.
Hi, Emily, about... You said that some of these dreams you've had, they kind of come to be, right?
Well, the one I had the night before last didn't. I mean, not as far as I knew, at least. But before that, it was quite vague. But yes, I dreamt that there were some wolves, and then some wolves showed up. And then I dreamt that there were some bats, and then approximately 5 seconds later, some bats smashed through the window. So those I could chalk up to possibly coincidence. But I think a hill this specific with a storm at the top is definitely not.
Yeah, if the layout matches an actual place, that's too specific to be prescient. Or you don't have past lives, do you? It's not one of your ancestors couldn't have been here.
Is that possible?
It is for me, but I don't think tieflings work that way.
So if your visions come to pass, then it seems like they come to pass pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We gotta get back
We-
to Valaki.
We might want to tell the people here to evacuate.
Yeah.
Are they going to believe us after what we just... After how Davian... We kind of left things with him?
Davian could sit here and die for all I care, but these other people, Maybe they'll
Okay.
be smarter than him.
We
Yeah.
could tell Adrian on the way.
Yeah, I think, let's... That seems the best route. He seems reasonable. He might be our best avenue to get to the rest. God, this is horrible.
Shall we go and tell Dag?
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to believe us, but I think we have a if this is that specific, I think we have a responsibility to tell them what's going to come to pass, if it even has a chance to. Just be prepared for some pushback. Possibly some rude words.
Follow me then.
Yeah.
Emily will go back to Dag and say, so that hill that I was asking you about, just... I know this is going to sound weird, but ever since I got here, well, not ever since I got here, but there was this night where I dreamed that I was getting attacked by wolves, and the next day there were some wolves attacking me. There's another night where I dreamed I was getting attacked by bats, and then the dream was interrupted when some bats flew in through the window. And when I described that hill to you, I had never ever seen that hill or heard about it ever. But last night I dreamed of that
Dag holds up
exact
a hand.
hill.
Miss Amity, was it?
Yes.
He kind of glances over to the teenage boy who's been kind of like standing over by the wardrobe, kind of like replacing the shelves and doing his very best to look like he's not listening. Claudio, do you mind leaving us alone for a moment? Go see if your mother needs help. The teenager kind of like sighs, grunts, and exits the room. A few moments pass as his footsteps recede, and Dag turns back toward you. Forgive me, I thought it might be best.
It's no problem. So, as I was saying, last night I dreamed of that exact place, which I swear I'd never known existed before. There was an egg at the top, and a bunch of these giant snake plants impregnated it. And this thing hatched out of it that was bigger than the house. And it went down the hill and marched up here, and it squashed this whole place flat. And I don't know if that's just a metaphor for something that's going to happen, or if it's just... Look, I don't think it's a coincidence, and I don't want to alarm you, but you might not want to stay here. I'm sorry.
At this, you see that Dag's face is grim and his eyes are wide as he seems to be looking not toward you, but past you. And as you glance over your shoulder, you see Stefania Martikov cradling the baby girl in her arms, her face pale, her eyes dark. That can't be good, she says. She kind of fixes her eyes for a moment. I'm sorry, I couldn't help but overhear, but... You think that what you saw was real?
I can't say how much of it might be a metaphor for something, but if that egg hatches, then something bad is coming this way.
Stefania smiles, or swallows, not smiles, and pauses for a moment and looks down at the little girl in her arms. Right. She kind of fixes her gaze into Dag's, and he kind of nods grimly. I don't know how easy it'll be to talk some sense into the old crow, but Dag nods. It's worth a try. If anyone can get through to him, it'll be you. Stefania nods, and she turns to you, Amity. Thank you. I don't know what exactly your dream means, but if nothing else... Well, we knew that they had other plans. We'll keep an eye out, and I'll let my father know. Aye?
Thank you. Stay safe.
She nods, and you see that she's kind of fingering the image of a small sunburst that hangs from a necklace around her neck. Same to you. May you stay in the sunlight, Amity. She bows her head and makes her way briskly away from the door.
We should probably get out of here before the yelling starts.
Yeah. Well, right then. Make haste, Ray.
Yeah. Good.
And if no one says anything else, we are on that road to Vallaki.
Yep.
ASAP.
Heading on home.
We're GTFOing.
Country roads.
We're also relaying
right.
this to Adrian and Elvir, right, as we're driving?
Yeah.
We'll let you do it.
Yes. So you make your way downstairs to the winery. Davia nowhere to be seen, but as you make your way out to the loading dock, you can see the horses now fully saddled and harnessed. Elvir patting them comfortingly, kind of glances over at you as you make your way out. They were a bit spooked by those little shambling bits of mulch, but I think they're ready to go. What about the you lot? Good to hit the road?
More than ready, I think.
As will ever be.
You glance over and you see Adrian already in the driver's seat of the wagon, the barrel stacked high behind him as he holds the reins, kind of situates himself. Right, all right then. If that's it then, I think we're all good to go. We should be able to, at this rate, make our way to Vallaki by noon. Hopefully we'll have a good time. Hopefully the
Great.
weather stays good as well.
Is there room to sit on the wagon, or are we going to be walking next
Please,
to it?
please,
There-
please.
There's a little bit of room for one person to sit on the back. There's like a little ledge on the very back of the wagon, but it's not very wide. One, maybe
I
two
vote
people
we
could squeeze
give
there.
Amity the
Yeah,
Yes.
let's put Amity
Yes.
up there.
Yep, agreed.
All right.
Is
Amity, do you
there
take the
space?
seat?
Yes, absolutely. It's killing me. Is there space at some point, either on the trip, maybe at a rest stop, or before, for Amity to sort of pull Erthrendir aside for a short aside?
If you'd like to do that now, just before you leave, you're more than welcome to.
Very good. So Amity pulls Erthrendir aside and presents him with a heart-shaped palmiere with like cinnamon challenge levels of cinnamon, and says, I'm sorry about everything you've gone through. Thank you so much for sharing that with us last night. Even if you do think we're going to die here, I can't imagine going through all of this, dying in the mud, without ever knowing the first thing about you. I feel richer for knowing how you could be a hero, and I wish I could be more like you.
Erthrendir kind of stares between the proffered sweet and Amity's face, just kind of taken aback. I don't know what to say. I thank you. I don't think of myself as a hero. I've tried my damnedest not to be, but that is perhaps the kindest thing anyone said to me in a very long time. Thank you. And he will take the proffered baked good and kind of look barely down at Amity. She is very tall. And I could say the same. You don't need to tell me your life, but at some point, if you want to sit down, grab a drink, and I'd be thrilled to get the chance to know you. We may be on a bit of a timer, but if I'm telling the truth, I've been happier in the past week than I have in the past 30 or so years, because I've gotten to see people and know folks like you. So if you ever want to return the favor, I'm here.
I really should at some point. I accept. I'm gonna warn you though. I'm not a hero like you are.
Well, maybe not, at least of how you think of a hero. But I think you're something else. And he's going to just pull her into a hug. You're a damn good person.
Oh, Amity fully accepts this hug, wraps her tail all the way around him. And at any point, you can eat the palmier as a bonus action. Temporary hit points.
Oh my god! You took Chef! Amazing!
I love
Oh,
that.
that's so perfect for her. Holy
God,
shit.
Amity is the fucking best of all of us.
She is. But yeah.
Is she?
I will see, right?
Yeah. But yeah, no, he will keep that very safe in a paper bag.
Let's hit the road,
All right.
guys.
Yep.
Gals.
Adrian and Elvir nod as you rejoin the wagon. Kiva, Metreon, and Lilith, I presume, already there, taking up
Yep.
their own positions.
Earthenmir's got a bit of a distant smile on his face as he rejoins the caravan. All right, y'all ready to go?
Just head on out.
Yeah.
Back to Vallaki. I wonder
Back
what
to
we
Vallaki
missed.
it is. And Adrian snaps the reins and the horses begin making their way down.
I wonder what we missed yesterday, not being there for the festival.
Please, those people, I'm sure nothing of a note happened.
Kiva has this like distant, longing look in her face again, but she doesn't say anything.
Metreon kind of elbows her a bit. Don't worry, love. I don't think she found another girl. As long as she's safe.
I don't think she wants a girl.
Oh, well, apologies then.
Ah, whatever. You know, if you're interested.
Maybe. What are you proposing?
I don't know. Maybe taking the edge off.
Metron kind of makes the kombucha girl face, kind of like. Then he kind of walks away. We'll talk about that later. Let's stick to the road.
She sort of smirks a little bit, but you sort of like she was joking, but there might be something in there that she isn't, and she just keeps walking.
JK, unless.
What the fuck?
Literally the personification of JK, unless.
What the fuck is this episode?
And on that beautiful note, as the wagon continues making its way down the trail of the vineyard back into the mist-strewn meadow, you watch as from the roof of the winery behind you, a lone black raven spreads its wings, taking off from the roof, flying high over, looking down upon you, as from the vineyard around you and the trees of the Svalish wood, more ravens join it, flying behind this single raven, flying overhead, until several dozen, if not more than 100 ravens are following the wagon as it reaches the intersection adjoining the Svalich Road and begins taking its way north. And that's where we'll end it for today.
Well,
Whoa. Why is
that's a
that
place.
an odd number?
I really was hoping that you wouldn't end it on that, but
Nope. Nope. Never.
And behind us, you hear gentle crushing sounds.
Don't mind that. That's just the sound of several of our ship fans' hearts breaking.
Hey, nothing.
You
set
people
in
are your
stone.
own ship fans, don't deny it.
I am. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
fully deny it.
I've just
See,
seen
I
impossible
had a
things.
ship and Dragna ripped it away from me, so now Kiva's apparently
You're welcome.
improvising.
We'll see how it goes. Nothing set in stone.
Also, Kaya, you might deny it, but you and I both know that of the people here, you if there were a yearbook award for most likely to secretly have a Pepe Sylvia chart of who is shipped with whom, it would be you.
Oh, 100%.
I mean,
Probably.
I mean, no, because the word secretly is in there.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
true.
fair.
I've got one, TBH.
You all are degenerates, and I love it.
The whole hand holding, Dragna. That is the
Mhm.
extent.
Cute
Of
dates and
course.
cheek kisses.
Holding. Yes. For shame. I totally haven't mapped out the grid.
Oh, you have a
All
grid?
right.
I only have a web.
Oh my God, you
what's a
people.
grid but a web with style?
Okay.
Sorry about
On that note, I think that about wraps it up for this week's episode. So thank you to everyone for joining us today. We will see you all back in the mists next Saturday. Until then, trust not the words of snakes, and take care.
Wait, next Saturday?
Bye.
Oh, next Saturday. The week after that. Shit.
Yes, the next
Yes,
next
we're off
Saturday.
next weekend.
December 5th.
But you're shipping
December 5th.
hypergraph in the subreddit.
Yes, there are only so many permutations. I believe in you.
Fantastic.
Unless you're shipping
We
people with
wanna read it.
Dag. Dag's obviously the breakout character.
Dag is married.
Oh my God,
And?
Tia, please
That
take
doesn't
us
mean
off the
anything.
air.
Good night.
Good night.
Hypergraph.
Good night, all.